Hello and welcome to the Blood Bowl Diaries, episode 5, with me, Hellboy.
And me, the fear.
Now, continuing our theme of 90s sitcom, we can do a previously on the Blood Bowl Diaries. So, if you haven't listened to episode 4, go back and listen to episode 4 because you join us now in episode 5 when we are halfway through discussing the UK team challenge tournament that both the Fear and myself attended. And in episode 4, we covered games 1 to 3. And in this episode, we're going to be covering games 4, 5, and 6, and then doing a look at some other interesting stats from the tournament at the end. But just to quickly recap what's happened with my team. So on day 1, as a team, we've gone 2 wins, 1 draw, and no losses. And I've got on my team, I've got Andy Davo. He's playing Khorne. I've got Hawk of the Boneless. He's playing Dark Elves. I've got 20 Phoenix. He's playing Undead. And then myself, Hellboy, I'm playing Necromantic. And what about you, Fear? How's your team got
on? On day 1, we've gone 1 win and 2 losses. And on my team, I have Speeding Bullet, who is playing Tomb Kings. Dragonborn, who is playing Lizardmen. Golden Gate, who is playing Orcs. And I am playing High Elves.
Okay. And with my Necromantic, I should have said, I forgot, even though I knew it was there in my head. With my Necromantic, on a personal note, I am currently 2-0-1 on the record. And with your High Elves, you are
0-2-1.
Okay. So not too disastrous from either of us. Probably not quite where we'd want it to be on either end. But if you've listened to the previous episode, you'll hear that the reasons why we've achieved those results that we have. Okay, well, yeah. seeing as in the previous episode we were going you me in terms of the team tournament, shall we continue that trend and hear what you got up to after the day 1 came to a close? What did you guys do in the evening?
We went back to our hotel. And then we went out and wandered around York until we found a restaurant that's serving Indian food. And
okay.
And we ate that, and that was lovely. And then we went back to Brew York.
Okay. Very nice.
Friday night. Don't know if that was the wrong place to go. I mean, certainly there were a few people there. Pipey was there with the referees and so on and so forth. And I think the Stream Dream Team were there, and a few others. But it was like on the Friday night, pretty much the whole tournament was there.
Okay.
And on the Saturday night, not so much. So I don't know because traditionally people go to the White Hart. So I don't know if that's where everyone had gone. But nevertheless, actually, being a little bit tired and having had a stressful day 1, it was nice just to have the food and have a bit of chat amongst ourselves and relax and get ready for day 2.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Good. How about yourself? What did you guys get up to?
We just had we had a quiet one in. All 4 of us are so 20p had brought his family as well, so he wanted to spend time with them. I'm sure Davo won't mind me saying Davo and myself both fall into that category of I don't get me wrong, I like talking to people, but I also like just chilling with my mates in the same way as you've done in the evening. So yes, that was nice. The other Welsh team that were there with No Number, J-Word, that other Asian guy, and Scab. They came round to ours and just used our oven to cook their pizzas, and we just had a sit around for an hour and a half or so. Just eating our pizzas, chatting. Watching a few clips on Twitch of some silly plays and stuff, and then pretty early night, and just obviously your team by the end of day 1, your team record, obviously you guys know that it's about maybe more of a rebuild and have a strong day 2 finish with your team record. But with my guys, because we were 2-1-0, we were up at the business end of things, and we knew that if we had a good day too, we might be in with a shot. We were still in it. So yeah, we were all very keen to just get to bed and get ready for day two.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, do you want to kick us off then with the fourth round? So the first game of day two, game 4 for your team and yourself. How did that go?
Yeah. So to be honest, I was absolutely delighted when I saw who we were playing at the start of day two, because we were playing the brilliantly titled Pow Rangers.
Very good. Which
I absolutely loved. We were continuing to our yo-yo between the two rooms, so we were back in the small spaces of the two. The exhibition hall, I think it's called, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
So Dragonborn was up against Walrus. Golden Gate was up against Law of Course. Speeding Bullet was up against Tucker Steel. And I, for the first time ever in a UKTC, found myself on table 4 for our team. It's never happened before. And I was supposed to be playing a chap called Lovely Jubbly.
Okay.
However, when we got to the table, we discovered that Lovely Jubbly, unfortunately, had come down with COVID pre-tournament, and therefore was not in attendance. And so we automatically got a win for that game, sadly. And the other 3 were to proceed with their games. And then I was, I'd heard that, they were going to match people, that were in similar circumstances. So I had to wander back to the main room where I found Pipey, and I said, kind of, how does this work? And he said, well, if you look on the draw, it'll say who you're playing. So I looked on the draw and it didn't. And what he meant was it wasn't on the, when you sort of click into the draw, it wasn't when you click in, it was actually on the sort of web page.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And down the bottom there, it had the sort of miscellaneous players matched. So instead of playing Lovely Jubbly and his humans, I was instead playing against Dr. Mustachio, who was part of the DBBL Stunty team.
Okay.
I was playing against his goblins.
Okay, fantastic. Well, before you dive into this, I should say this is something that I think was pretty well thought out.
Yes.
Given that COVID was certainly making a resurgence in the UK, and also wherever you are in the world right now, this is at a much higher risk than some politicians, shall we say, are willing to admit. And you will get dropouts because of COVID. And I think that although is it it's a really tough one, isn't it? Because obviously for you guys, you've already got a win, so your boys just sit there and go 3 draws and you win the round with 3 draws. But I don't think there's another way of doing it. It's an interesting one. I've seen people. I think the general feel that I got from the room and stuff was that it's the best situation that they could do. People still got the games that they'd paid for. You still got a rated game, but it just didn't contribute to the team. The team setup. And I would, if anyone's got any bright ideas on how to do it, with this situation again, I think Pipey would be welcome to an email. He did say on TFF after the event, if anyone's got any ideas on how they would do it differently, do let him know. So if you are listening to the podcast, whether you attended or not, and you have some brainwave on how to handle a situation where, someone's had to pull out. I know there were not just pullouts because of COVID. I think some people rather enjoyed the Saturday night a little too much in some cases. But we'll draw a line there on that one. But if anyone's got any ideas, then I think Pipey would be welcome to it. But great that you were able to get a game. So I guess let's start with let's carry on with your game then versus your stunty matchup.
Yeah, I mean, well, the only thing that I'll say is, I suppose, I was supposed to be in the exhibition room. He was supposed to be on table 95 in the main room. The only suggestion I'd probably make to Pipe is, in making that match, give us a table to meet at. Yeah, because
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Because
yeah,
otherwise, you're both wandering around trying to
find each
find
other.
each other. Yeah.
Now, as it was, I went and got my stuff, and I went and waited at table 95 because I figured, well, he may not know yet because his team hadn't arrived yet, and like me, he may not have scrolled to the bottom of the page, and you wouldn't, because when you look at the draw, you think you've got a game. So, and that's what happened. He turned up. I explained the situation. He was a really nice guy. We sat down to play. People that have listened before, maybe to the water bowl wash up, will know that never in. I haven't played. To be fair, I haven't played that many tournaments, but never in all of my tournaments, live ones, have I ever won the first game of day two. Some people will know that goblins are a team that I seem to have hellish trouble against, inexplicably. So there I was, sat down for the first game of day two against goblins. And interesting build. He had two trolls, one with block, one with strong arm.
Oh, okay. So he likes to throw teammate. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he had a chainsaw with dodge. He had a ball and chain with block.
Oh, okay.
He had a pogo with block, I think. So it's a blodge, effectively, and a pogo. Yep, that sounds right. And he had he had a bomber. I don't know if the bomber, I can't remember if the bomber had anything. And he had the Doom Diver with an edge boost by memory.
Okay, interesting. I've heard from various sources that the Doom Diver is now the worst piece you can take on a Goblin team. They've killed it, Games Workshop ruined it, etc. So I look forward to hearing how wrong these people are.
Well, I think just adding the edge probably helps it, I suppose, with its dodging, but I don't think it can use stunty. We didn't quite get to the point found out, to be honest. But I suppose it would help that it would be better at dodging if it can't use stunty. And then he didn't have an hooligan, but he had a normal goblin with dirty player.
Okay.
I didn't get to ask about that because I presume it's a cost thing. I presume he just kind of ran out of gold pieces.
Yeah, it must have just been on the cusp or something, yeah.
Yeah, I presume the hooligan's more expensive than the normal goblin. I don't know. But anyway, that was the team. Nice looking team. He won the toss and decided to drive. So that's the fourth game, I think, in a row that's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Often my opponents decided to drive. Kick sort of went towards his end zone a bit, probably not massively deep. I managed to get a load of elves around him and basically sort of screen off between his trolls and his ball. But the pogo obviously leaps on a 3+, because it's got the skill pogo stick, so it doesn't have the negative modifiers for leaping. So he effectively kind of leapt over that and got himself back into the cage, which is quite.
Yep.
I effectively then just pulled everyone into his cage. He then leapt the pogo out and, effectively potatoed it down the field. I was able to get a couple of pieces back and then get a 3 dice on it with my wrestle catcher. I think I rolled the power anyway, so it didn't really matter. So then we've got the ball. Goblins are starting to leave the field. The chainsaw goes. I progress quite sedately up the field. I'm not in a massive hurry. We'll score in turn 7 or something, just to make sure that we maximise his bribe usage. At some point, I managed to divert enough players to go and thump the ball and chain, and that gets KO'd as well, obviously automatically.
Yep, very good.
We're progressing quite nicely. Ball's on a blitzer, so ball's on a blodger. But you know what? Fair play to him. He knows his goblins, and he's not giving up. And the pogo leaps in, 2 dice uphill on the blitzer, double pow.
Oh, you love to hear it. You love to hear it.
Oh, I mean, mate, I was cheering for him, to be honest. And also KO'd the blitzer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Insult to injury. Oh.
Big. I think we got rid of the pogo then. Maybe it died to a block, or it just got stunned or something. Picked the ball up with the other blitzer. Make good progress. Round turn 6. Stunty dodging in, 3+3+3+. 2 dice uphill blitz. Double pow.
Oh, no way. Oh, you can't write this script. No way.
Sadly for him, he just didn't. By that point, the trolls are sort of wandering around without friends in the middle of the field, and he just lost too many goblins by that point to be able to, capitalise on that. So I ran it in turn 7, which I'm aware gives him the 1 turner, but it also means he has to burn the 2 bribes. He's got 3 bribes. He has to burn 2 to keep his ball and chain and his chainsaw in the game. They then fail to come back from the KO.
Oh, okay.
But actually, that's not terrible because he's only got 10 players for this 1 turner, right? He's only got 1 bribe left, and so he's got to put the bomber on. So the fact that they don't come back from the KO actually means he doesn't have to field 1, because he would have definitely had something sent off.
Oh yes. No, it's why it works in his favour. Yeah.
1 turner doesn't work. He then fails the bribe on the bomber.
Ooh.
And the ball and chain and the chainsword resolutely stay in the.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah.
So not only are you 1-0 down, all your toys have been taken away from you, and
Yeah, and you got to defend, and I think he's probably got 9 or 10, and he's defending against 10 elves. So I score in turn 8. I mean, ran around in circles and scoring turn 8. That's 2-0. He sets up for the 1 turner. I think he's quite surprised because I don't stick the ball on the sweet spot. I stick it halfway between his trolls and where the sweet spot is. And he looks at me and he says, "You want to see this then?" And I thought, yeah, I do. After what's happened in the game, I have got no problem with you hitting this 1 turner if you can. But by memory, I think the troll then tries to eat the goblin.
Oh.
And that's that. So, yeah, I mean, for the first time ever, I've won the first game of day 2. I have temporarily put my Goblin Tournament voodoo to rest.
Yeah.
And nice 2-0. I make my way back over to the exhibition centre to investigate how we've got on against the Power Rangers. And love that name. I really love that name.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a very good one.
I was tempted to steal it because I've already bought the ticket for UKTC next year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was tempted to just register a team under that name because I haven't, obviously. But so Dragonborn's Lizards have beaten Chaos 2-0. Speeding Bullets Tomb Kings have beaten Khorne 1-0. And Golden Gate, his orcs once again got absolutely blended, this time by Undead, but he managed to scrape a 1-1 draw, I think.
Oh, fantastic.
So overall, we win that one 3-1-0.
Nice. So even with the even if you'd had to play it and your game had gone completely wrong, and if the guy who you're meant to be playing hadn't had COVID and turned up and had absolutely mullered you, you guys would have still got the job done.
Yes.
Fantastic.
We pack all our stuff up and head back towards the main room. We'll be back in the main room again.
Very good. Very good.
How did you guys start this?
Yeah. That sounds like a really good start today. Yeah, so
Actually, can I just say this? I'm just going to say this. Dr. Mustachio was an absolutely thoroughly lovely guy. Sat next to his team of stunty players, and there was a halfling chap sat next to me who I think had like a wrestle strip ball halfling that he was just chucking into a cage against a poor dark elf player who was just kind of scratching his head at what was happening. And they were having a whale of a time. And it was a real pleasure to play them. The DBBL, stunty
lovely.
goes. Sad not to have got to play against Power Rangers, but I landed on my feet, I think.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. Okay, so our round 4, we came up against Sweber Raiders, which I think you tell me if you recognise I think the clue is in the name SWE. I think they were Sweden. As part of Team Sweden, so you can tell me if I'm completely wrong. Davo was playing Niaga. Hawk of the Bonus was playing Skuld. I was against a guy called Ionis, and 20p was playing Duckwing. Now let me just pull up.
So is this your first international team of the weekend?
Yeah, yes. We've gone from being down the road with the Swindon guys to being across on the in the European world. So nice. Davo's Corn was against Wood Elves, which was interesting. Boneless, his Dark Elves were against Skull's High Elves. 20p's Undead were playing against Duckwing's Dwarves. And I sat down opposite Ionis's Underworld.
Ooh.
So,
if you go through matchups and you think to yourself, win, draw, loss, whatever, Underworld Necro, not a clue.
No, and I sat down and I was like, oh, okay, it's First of all, I thought it was Skaven because he produces a rat ogre, and I'm like, oh, okay, Skaven. And he goes, oh, nearly Underworld. Like, oh, okay, fine, Underworld. Yeah, that's fine. Obviously, they couldn't take stars at this one, so I was like, okay, I'm not having to deal with, Hackflem running around the pitch. But so when I see he takes a Roger, now obviously that means that the throw teammate is off the cards. But Underworld now get a gutter runner, so I'm like, okay, so at least that means when I set up, I only have to, if I'm setting up the one turn, I only have to set up the gutter runner. And if you remember from episode 4, guys, think back, rewind slightly and think back. I also know that it is possible to do the one turn with the gutter runner versus the stand firm and sidestep because I worked it out following match 1. So I'm also very aware that if I have to face that one turn, exactly how I'm going to set up to defend it. So that was good learning that I did in game 1, wasn't it? And so he goes through his roster and he's got the rats and he's got this and he's got quite a few snotlings. And then he goes, oh, and by the way, I've got a halfling master chef. and it was at this moment Hellboy knew he was screwed. Okay.
I'm just going to say, on the off chance that Golden Gate actually ever listens to this, Golden Gate has been trying all sorts of rosters in various things, like dwarfs with a halfling master chef and humans with a halfling master chef. I think he'd settled on dwarfs being the best one because they've got all the block and everything. But I think he's going to love the idea of Underworld.
So one of the discussions, which I mentioned last time, is the number of re-rolls Necro can get. And during the evening discussions, in the night before and stuff, I've been talking to 20p, who's Welsh captain, and obviously we were discussing Necro. I've had some success with them, and so there it was, just chatting away. And I said, the problem is that 2 re-rolls, whatever. And Ionis rolls the first Master Chef roll, and I turned to 20p and I said, 20p, you know how I'm practicing for 2 reroll Necro in this tournament? I said I'm practicing it by only having 1 reroll on my own offensive drive. And my God, did it make a massive, massive difference. And the only reason why I had 1 reroll was because of
Leader.
leader.
Yeah.
He had 4 rerolls because he had leader as well, and he took 3 off me. And even if they don't exist, as you know, they still take all 3. So
I didn't realise that
yeah,
actually.
so even if
Only take
if
what
you
can
roll
take.
4, if you roll 4s, you get 3 rerolls. Even if the opponent's only brought 1 or 0, you gain 3. So he had
Wow.
4 rerolls for his defensive, and I had 1 reroll on my offense, and thus began the pain of Hellboy, trying to play
This is the
against.
moment. This is the moment when you wish you took block on the flesh calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the moment where I wished I took anything that wasn't necromantic. Which, this is the moment where I wish they would allow stacking of multiple skills. Why didn't I not take block and wrestle on my ghouls? Why don't necro get 13 skills in this rule set? This kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, luckily, I think my turn ordering's quite good, and I'm able to recover the ball, and I'm working along, chipping away. I'm making progress. I think I fail a pickup, but he can't. But I've screened it off, and then the next one I do get the pickup, so I don't have to use my 1 reroll. And unfortunately, I end up needing to eat a 1 in 9 roll with a flesh golem.
Yeah.
Just because, the problem is if you don't, if you're not removing things, then you've got a slight problem. Now, obviously, I'm removing the snotlings, because I'm blitzing them with a werewolf every turn because I'm getting 3 dice into 3 dice, and I'm removing them. But because he's fielded snotlings and he's got so many, the swarming comes into play.
Yeah.
And so you're sat there going, oh great, I've made a removal every turn, and you do a quick count on the field, and it's like it's still 10v10, and you're like, Anyway, this 1 in 9 happens, and I find myself suddenly being sacked because his gutter runner's got strip ball, and I get sacked, and. Maybe he doesn't sack me. Maybe I fail. No, he does sack. He does sack me. The scatter fails, and then I fail to pick it up on the recovery, and it all goes and I burn my reroll on the trying to pick the ball up. On my turn 7, which gives him 2 turns. He manages to get the ball downfield. Luckily, I've got a wolf that can go and deal with it. We knock the ball free, and and I get players around the ball, and he doesn't score on my drive. But it's 0-0, so he's had a great defensive drive, right? 0-0, you'll take that.
But particularly with Underworld, that with all of the responsiveness from the titsy snotlings and the goblins and them scoring is an absolute nightmare. Like you should always be scoring with them, really. I guess.
Yeah.
So to go in 0-0 and then be receiving is brilliant for them.
Yeah, no, it really was. Yeah. And then the second half starts, and this time he only manages to steal 1 reroll.
Oh.
So we're on equal rerolls this half.
Oh, two each.
So yeah, I think it was 2 each. Yeah. I definitely had 2. He may have had leader and a roster one. I can't remember. Anyway, the Underworld are really cheap actually. If you take lots of snotlings, they're really cheap.
Oh yeah. I think it must be the way it's being done now, following the swarming change.
Yeah.
I played a game of Fumble a few nights ago against in a NAF format against an Underworld team, and that was very much what that coach had done, and just kind of maximised the snotlings.
Yeah.
But it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is pretty annoying. Yeah. So what happens is his drive starts, and he picks the ball up and he drops it back. He's in no rush, right? He's communicating with his team. He's hearing what the other results are. Obviously we're all having an open discussion. We're chatting down the table, so everyone's aware of what's going on in everyone else's game, right? So he knows that if he can get a win, it might help his team out quite a lot. So he's in no rush. Likewise, I am aware that all I need to do is draw this damn game, having been under the cosh since turn 0, effectively, and still under the cosh.
Yeah.
And I make a conscious decision to continue my plan of just sniping snotlings to begin off with. Let's just get the player number level on the field. Let's get rid of the snotlings. And then if he starts offering me rats, let's start hitting the rats. And then when he's got no players left, then we'll look at dealing with the ball. Okay? As long as, and obviously I can match him on speed. What are the pieces that can match a gutter runner for speed? Well, werewolves, and I've got 2 block ones, and he's got a gutter runner with strip ball, so it's not protected. So I'm pretty much guaranteed a 2 dice on it, even if he made a break. He can't just run off down the field because the werewolves can cover most of the field. Yeah. So my plan starts going very, very well. Snotlings are leaving the field. Rats are leaving the field. The Apo is used. It doesn't work. It starts mounting up. And then he's trying more and more to, blitz with the Rat Ogre, do some damage, this sort of thing. And the Rat Ogre gets stuck on a Flesh Golem who just goes, bang, now your Rat Ogre's gone. Thank you very much. So all of a sudden, his team is probably in the back third or even quarter of his side of the pitch. The ball is really deep. And I'm kind of standing in his half going, well, now maybe I can win this game. It's time to pressure. And I put some pressure on him. And he takes his time thinking, and he goes, okay. And he goes, well, all I can do is dodge my gutter runner basically through my line, diagonally through my kind of double-screened line. Or not quite, a kind of stagger double-screened, basically.
Yeah.
So he's got a few 3s to roll and some 2s. All with dodge, though, and he's got a re-roll as well. And he makes all of that, and he pops himself down the end and whatnot. He pops himself against the sideline in my half. He runs as far as he can into my half, and he puts himself right on the sideline.
Okay.
Because that's all he's got. It's turn what is it? It's turn 15, so turn 7 of his half, and he just had to do it. So he did it. There's no way he can mark everyone that I've got, but he does his best. He pows a wraith who sidesteps closer, but he gets the pow. So now it's not just now there's some 2+ involved. And he's tagged everything he can, right? And I look at my options, and I have two options. I can either make a 3+ dodge with the werewolf, and do 2 GFIs and hit the gutter runner. But
how many rerolls have you got?
I've got both rerolls at this point. Okay. I'm pretty sure I've got both rerolls. Yeah. So I got that. But the angle that I can hit that with from the werewolf won't surf him. I can't get round. I can only hit him from the wrong corner, so I can't surf the gutter runner. So the other option is the 3-2-2 with the wraith that. Isn't it amazing how I chose the sidestep square that would put me still within range as long as my armor wasn't broken? Funny that, isn't it? Sometimes you get really sometimes you get really lucky in Blood Bowl, don't you? So in the end, I'm umming and ahhing, and I think to myself, well, this is all I've got. I've gone from a game where, if you told me on turn 0 you're going to have a 3-2-2 to potentially draw this game, I'd have bitten your hand off. Because one reroll on my turn 0 was pretty bleak, so I go for it, and I do the dodge, make the dodge. I do the double GFI, make the double GFI, and I roll double both down. So I don't surf the gutter runner, sadly. However, the gutter runner is not in range when prone to score. I have sidestep. He has no other scoring threats, and so even though I don't break the armor on the gutter runner, he now can't score. and the ball scatters off the pitch.
Ooh.
Now, again, I must be one of the, you've got to be super lucky, right, to have it so that if the ball goes diagonally into his half, I will need a 3+3+ to score, at worst. Or if the ball goes sideways across the pitch, I'll need a 3+, and then I can do a handoff the following turn because I've got players in the right place. So, 66% of the time, the ball is probably going somewhere, or maybe a bit less, maybe about 60% of the time. The ball on the scatter off the field will go somewhere where the likelihood of me scoring is very, very high. Sod's law, it goes the opposite way and it lands right in my end zone.
Yeah, of course.
But this isn't a disaster yet. It's not over yet. But as we'd said, I think in the first half he looked at his team roster and said, it's a bad drive when you're working out what a goblin can pass on nowadays. and when the ball landed in my end zone, I picked up my own roster and I looked at him and I said, it's a bad day when you have to work out what a werewolf can pass on nowadays.
What is it? Out of interest?
It's a 4. It's the same as the ghouls.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Well, I think if you made it, any worse, Necro would be completely useless, given the fact you've got no hands on 2 of your positionals. So my werewolf that's kind of in the middle of the field now runs backwards at full pelt to try and get to the ball, and I can do it with the double GFI, and I pick the ball up. So I got the ball in hand. But obviously, it's at best it's going to be a 5+ pass next turn.
Yeah.
So anyway, he makes it as difficult as he can. He jams players in. He puts intercepts in. Blah blah blah. Turn 16. I set up for it all. I get there. I do the GFI to make it a better pass because I don't want to roll a hard 6. It's resurrection format. The wolf doesn't need to live. And unfortunately, I fail the pass. So it ends 0-0. But from a game that I was losing on turn 0. And you know me, I'm not a negative person at all. But when you go down to 1 reroll with a team that desperately needs 3 rerolls, it is a pretty bleak situation. Yeah, so I managed to get a draw, which I was quite pleased with. Sat on the table next to me, Skuld, with his high elves, had completely butchered Hawker's dark elves. like not even the whole game was very jovial and stuff, but it basically it consisted of Hawker just putting players in his Cas box,
you always have one.
As the sneaky git guy just kept stepping on him. So and it's interesting in this rule set, high elves just had so many more skills than dark elves, and it really paid off in those mirror matches. In those matchups where high elves came up against another elf race. I think they were doing pretty well. I think the stats would show that.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, because you start with a high elf team that's no block and no dodge, and wood elves are probably bringing at least 5 dodge and 2 block.
Yeah, but I think it's the armor. I think it's the armor and the fact that high elves can afford to put a sneaky git on if they want. They can.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. I mean, it's whether or not you choose to close that block dodge gap, or whether you choose to do something different with it. Yeah. Sneaky git is definitely an option. One I did think about and didn't. Maybe I should revisit it. It sounds like it was. Effective for.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Okay, so we're 0-1 at the moment.
Yeah.
How's gone on?
Yeah. So that was interesting on one side of me, but on the other side of me, 20p, his undead have gone through that dwarf team as well, and 20p is he's a man on a mission to redeem himself from the day one. And he's picked up a 1-0 win. And Davo has kind of gone up to those wood elves and gone, oh, look at that. I can have 4 dice every time I hit you because of my frenzy. Splat, 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 etc., etc. And has ended up with a win as well. So, team win. And me managing to not lose means we don't draw that round. Instead, we get the team win. So that was a nice one. And from a game that I was under the cosh the whole time, that was a nice one. And that's then taken us to 3-1-0 as a team going into round 5.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. So, how's your round 5 looking then?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing when I look back on the tournament, because obviously we started with the Tillian team, and then we played a UK team in the exhibition centre. Then we came back to the main room and played half of Team Norway, and then we went back to the exhibition centre, and then we won there again. And so we're back in the main room, and we run into the Holy Four. Now, the Holy Four are 4 of a team that might be better known as the Holy Six, who came second in the last World Cup.
Very nice. Okay, so a pretty good caliber of opponent then again.
Yes. So our third international team of the weekend, and another bloody good one at that. Quite frankly, Italians and lovely chaps, So it was. It's interesting. We definitely at this point are starting to feel like we've maybe not quite getting the the rub of the green with the draw.
Yeah, but in terms of your opposition, you're definitely finding it the hard end of the scale.
Yeah, considering we're sat on 202, to be playing the third, you'd expect to be playing a few more kind of local teams rather than the team that came second in the World Cup. That's a surprise. Sitting on 202 in round 5. But nevertheless, we sit down to play, and Dragonborn is up against Barbosa. Speeding Bullet is up against Menzogna. Golden Gate is against Matty 8, and I am against Morrow 84. So, sit down and have a look at it. So Dragonborn's game is against some Dark Elves, which I know you like the Lizard Dark Elf matchup.
Yes, I do. Yes, on both sides. Yes.
Yep. And Speeding Bullets, Tomb Kings are up against some Skaven.
Ooh, okay, interesting one, that one.
Yeah, slightly, perhaps suspect he's probably going to be up against it. Golden Gate's Orcs are up against Dwarfs. So you think maybe that one could be interesting. And I'm up against some Orcs. So, my opponent has 2 block big guns, 2 guard big guns. There's a tackle, blitzer, and there's a mighty blow blitzer.
Okay. So as an elf team, you're not looking at that going, oh, great. It's definitely some concerns there.
No, I mean, I think it's block on a troll. Maybe do they get 7 skills? And he's got a goblin. He's got a couple of goblins.
Okay.
Or he's got a goblin in alignment or something. He's got some 12 players.
Okay.
And he sort of sits down and he says, "Well, obviously, you probably favour the elves in this one." And I'm thinking, well, yeah, probably. Orcs don't love playing elves unless they can remove them, I guess. And high elves tend to live a bit longer than wood elves, as we said. So he wins the toss and elects to drive.
Is it the way is it the deodorant you use or something?
I don't know. 5 in a row. 5 in a row. 5 in a row. People are just trying to kill elves, and try and make that easier. I don't know. Kicking this one goes pretty deep. What I'm now thinking of as the dodge squad, all sort of pile round I've had to blitz. They also pile around on the left-hand side as I'm looking at it, right? Because I'm trying to make it look as threatening as possible to his thrower, who sat kind of a couple of squares from his own end zone with the ball. And there is no way that thrower can get to the line of scrimmage. So he's now got a choice to make. He's either probably got it can't just cage up. It can't just build like a standard X cage, because I'm going to jump all over it with about 7 or 8 players. And, his big uns and his troll are going to be in the wrong spot to help, effectively. So his other option, I guess, is to hand off, maybe to a blitzer that's kind of a bit further forward and build the cage that way. What he actually elects to do is move everything off the line of scrimmage backwards as far as it can.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So he sets his cage up, or it's more like a turtle, really. It's sort of an eye cage with big uns and a troll at the front of it, and he sets that up, sort of, we'll say around about the sweet spot. Yeah, which obviously nice for me. I just then get in front of him, double bank off, and go, well, drive from there then. Yeah.
Yeah.
He basically just pushes that turtle forward, blitzes, pushes into the space with the troll and a couple of big uns, and there's not a lot I can do. I mean, I've got one guard piece, but there's not a lot I can do to fight that. So I do just kind of have to back up, and he doesn't really ever give me that turn where I can, because you're looking for that one turn when you can not dodge away, when you can push them off you, and he never really gives that turn, and he's got big uns sort of hanging. The other 2 big uns are sort of hanging around on the as he's kind of the pieces that aren't in the screen. They're just kind of a couple of squares off the side. So that he's offering them up as the blitz targets, but obviously that takes me 3 players to blitz. I need 2 assists to get a 2 dice. He sort of gets towards halfway, and I think he kind of decides then that he's got to do something. And sort of where I've blitzed one of his players, the screen is not perfect towards my left-hand side. So he blitzes with a big gun, which he moves through the line, and then he moves a blitzer through the line. Yeah?
Yep, okay.
And then he just pushes his troll and his remaining big uns up against the front bit of my elf screen. I just dodged that away. That's fine. I don't think I managed to knock the blitzer over. Maybe I do. I don't know. Anyway, he sort of gives up on the push at that point. Yeah, he gives up on the idea of developing that turtling cage any further. He does push the big un and the blitzer further into my half, but sort of completely isolated at this point. So there's 2 threats then when we get to my turn 7. There are 2 threats. There's 2 ways he can possibly score. One way is to hand off to the goblin.
Yep.
Yeah, and the other way is probably something to do with this blitzer, or maybe the big un, I suppose. So I move one catcher back to be an assist against this blitzer. So that catcher's now stood sort of a few squares from my end zone next to the sideline on a diagonal to the blitzer. My wrestle catcher comes back and hits from the other diagonal, goal side, and we hit both down, so I use the wrestle. So down goes the blitzer.
Okay, very good.
I double tab the big un.
Yep.
And then I basically line up, as I would for a throw teammate, 1 turn attempt. Sort of.
Okay. Yep.
I think I'd choose to go 8 squares away from where he can possibly throw the ball, and a square gap between each player.
Yeah. So it's about making the landing as awkward as possible. You're not bothered by the dodges. You just want to make sure that landing is as rough as possible.
And I'm sort of left with a blitzer, and I'm sort of thinking, well, do I need to be 1 square, or could I get away with being 2 squares? And I've got this blitzer, and I consider moving it forward to mark his most furthest forward blitzer. And I think about it, and in the end, I settle for just this row of players one square apart, and the fact that his blitzer's on the floor. And that's a whopping great big error because he thinks about it for a bit. He apologises in advance. He said, let me just have a think. And he decides to throw teammate plays not for him because, the dice involved. He's got a hand. He's still got 3 rerolls, mind, or 2 rerolls. But, he's got a hand off. He's got to not eat the goblin. He's got to not be stupid. So he moves a big un forward from his sort of turtle, double go for it to tab one of my 2 players that's marking his furthest forward big un. He then 2 dice blocks one of them and gets a knockdown. The blitzer that I haven't marked then goes with a double go for it, manages to stand next to the catcher that was the assist piece in the block against his blitzer. His blitzer then stands up and blitzes the catcher. He needs to knock it down, really, because if he doesn't, he's going to need to dodge past it because the square next to it is free, and then the square next to that has got my wrestle catcher lying down.
Oh, yeah, the prone one, yep.
Yeah, who's really wrestled him down last turn. 2 dice block, he finds... I can't remember if he finds the power of the both down. Obviously, it's got dodge, so it wouldn't have been a defender stumbles. He then needs a couple of go for it to get that guy in the end zone. He then runs his thrower forward, 2 go for it, 4 plus pass, 3 plus catch. And it's 1-0 to him. And
Gosh.
Yet again, I'm looking at it going, I have, sort of managed to drag, defeat from the jaws of victory sort of thing. Because from where he was on turn 7, there is no way he should be scoring on turn 8. Absolutely no way. Without it being...
Well, without being the goblin throw where you start throwing in a lot more actions with loner if there's a failure and everything.
It's just inexcusable for me to...
Do you think it's so just obviously because you hit a couple on day 1 as well like that where obviously there was some some silliness involved as well. It is still a game with dice rolls in it. There's a fundamental amount of it that some people will not realise is choices, which is the side that we tend to focus a lot more on. It's about how we can improve our decision making. But there is also a dice element to it. Otherwise, people like Purple Goo and Core would win everything, right? So it's do you feel it was a lapse in judgment? Is it tiredness? Is it what's the factor? Do you think?
I think this particular one I got too focused on the throw teammate option.
Yeah.
And perhaps having knocked the blitzer down, sort of thought, well, that's that then. Didn't really sit and consider it as a...
Yeah, could have done something like another mark on it so that there was going to be another dodge, or he wouldn't get a 2D in any way, or you could even look at a foul.
It doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter if my players that are lined up to prevent the throw teammate play. So certainly it doesn't massively matter if they are 1 or 2 squares apart, because it doesn't affect the stunty dodges, right?
It's just about making the
landing, but it doesn't affect the stunty dodges. Also, he's towards the left. For whatever reason, he's towards the right-hand side as I'm looking at it, right? So it might be that we didn't need to stretch it all the way across in quite the same way. He's probably likely to throw... because he's bang on halfway, really. He's only going to set foot one space over halfway. So throwing in the diagonal is probably quite problematic for him. It's going to struggle to get the length because obviously it shortens the further sideways you go. So I could have probably looked at that. I don't know why. There was obviously something in the back of my brain because I pondered just standing my blitzer next to his blitzer, the one that eventually moves forward to give the assist for the block. I pondered putting my blitzer just next to that blitzer. And there's no explicable reason why I should do it because it's just giving away a free block. But I pondered it for, what felt like a good 45 seconds. Just, I don't know, but it's, a fair amount of time to think about, well, should I put it there? Should I put it there? And I don't know why I was thinking, should I put it there? It would have been perfect. If I'd put it there, then we're fine, right? Because he's not going to be making, well, he might have made the dodges, but, he's then effectively got to attempt 4+4+3+ with a dodger, with a blitzer, and then 2 go for it before he's able to give that assist. I don't know. It's the frustration of the weekend for me. I think that we ran into 3, international teams, and I feel like in every one of those games there was an error on my part that cost a result.
Yeah. Also,
and that could just be a reflection of how good those players are.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say as well. Is don't forget that this micro error that you may have made in against maybe even 80% of the room at UKTC, or the 2 rooms, 80% of the rooms at UKTC, they may not punish you for that.
Yeah.
Well,
this is true. So, who knows? Who knows? Different opponents, I might have got away with it. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm looking left and right. I'm looking left, actually, because I'm on table 4. So I'm looking left. And Golden Gate's Orcs are, repeating their regular position and are queuing up in the dead and injured box.
Oh, God.
Dragonborn has failed to score against the Dark Elves on his drive.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And, speeding bullet. He has scored against the Skaven. He has removed a bucket load of Skaven by the bucket load, who will then just wake up again and climb out. And then, and this I think will haunt him for a while, he decides that with the Tomb Guardians and the Guard and all of that stuff, it's possible for him to effectively push deny.
Oh, no.
On the 1 turn.
Oh, no.
And he completely forgets about the Rat Ogre having frenzy. And so the Rat Ogre then picks up a skeleton that he's put 1 square back from the line of screen.
God. Yeah.
Pushes it into the right place.
Yes, and then pushes it again, yeah.
And then, pushes it all the way back where it needs to be because he can push it twice.
Yeah.
And we hit the 1, and they hit the 1 turn.
Oh, God.
So he's gone from a position on his turn 8 of having, a large part of the Skaven team in the box, 1-0 up.
1-0 up. Oh,
they're all back, and it's 1-1. Yeah.
Oh no. Well, I mean, if you haven't watched K-Fog's YouTube channel on One Turning, and you're interested in this sort of thing, go check it out, because this is. There are some small things where, some people will go and tell you, oh yeah, set up in a push denial, yeah, this is this, and some racial matchups look at that and go, thank you very much, mate, and that's one of them. The Skaven Rat Ogre is one of those ones where people will just look at that and go, yep, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely, and against the top player, you get punished. So off we go again. I received the ball. I think I've got most of my elves. I mean, weirdly, I don't think he's really took anything off either, which is good. I'm conscious that I might want to push for a win.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and I guess because you got the responsive team. Obviously, your Tomb Kings aren't going to, they might turn the rats over, but they're kind of draw loss kind of situation there, aren't they?
Yeah.
The orcs are being battered, so they're kind of draw situation. And Lizards versus Dark Elves is kind of it's an even keel, but
it's hard when the Lizards haven't scored and the Dark Elves are receiving.
Yeah, exactly. And if the Dark Elves have brought a runner, That's a dump off there problem, etc. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, you're definitely the team. You're definitely the race matchup that might need to do the win here.
Yeah. And fortunately, I've played a few Orc teams recently, as we've spoken about, and so when he lines up, just literally lines up across the field effectively with big uns on the ends, and says, "Here's a line of Orcs." You probably can't find a 2 dice blitz anywhere. How are you going to deal with this? Yeah. I don't panic because I played against that quite a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
Guard and wrestle come in clutch. I stick my guard guy in. That gives me a 1 dice with a wrestler against one of his big uns on the edge. That gives me the opportunity to develop some pieces past his line. He then obviously has to, and I push that on turn 1. I go turn 1 because I'm thinking, I might want to score on turn 3 or 4 here, and I don't want having to be sort of looking at kind of 3+3+2+ to get someone in scoring range. So let's just go with that 1 dice with wrestle. Okay, I'm leaving the Garda to get hit, but once you push some pieces past, he can't just maintain that line. He's got to respect that. And I also said to him, I might want to push for the win here. Yeah. Just because I thought, well, at least he'll react to that. Maybe he's unlikely to just let those pieces go. He drops some pieces back to cover. The play all gets quite concentrated on my left-hand side as I kind of keep pushing. Found quite a nice one. He was a bit surprised because I think he thought he covered it off, the breakaway, and that I'd perhaps dodge backwards with everything and come back towards the halfway. But I realised that I'd got a 3+ dodge with my dodge piece to get a 2 dice block. Again, on the blitzer on the side, probably a bit risky. Fail out, I might get the catcher surfed, but the upside seemed high and it came off. So, we've then sort of developed the left-hand side of our attack so much, and the right-hand side of his defence has dropped back so much that I'm able to just kind of walk the cage over halfway in that part of the field, and there's kind of no orcs there. As that's happening, look, it's fairly obvious that Golden Gate's lost.
Yep.
There is a moment of hope. Dragonborn turns over the Dark Elves and scores. He can't stall it, but he scores to go 1-0.
Oh, okay.
And Speeding Bullet gets a 2 dice on the ball carrier.
Oh ho ho!
He's got block the ball carrier. Presumably has dodge. I guess it's a gutter runner. And he 2 dice and a reroll, 2 more dice, and to say the Italian opponent is on his feet, screaming with joy, and Jim, Speeding Bullet has a look on his face of a man. If it's me, that's the point in which the dice cup's gone across the room, and I am. I'm a bit more expressive than him. I'm probably shouting. And some of it's swear words, I think, probably at that point, because he's just rolled pushes into pushes. Yeah, and if that ball carrier goes down, and maybe score then.
Yeah.
Then we're looking at a draw or a win for Dragonborn, and we're looking for probably a draw for Speeding Bullet. So then it's important that I win, because then that's a team draw. Yeah. As it is, ball carrier doesn't go down. It becomes clear that the Skaven are going to score to win that game 2-1. You know what? I just, in the end, I just mess about and score on turn 8 for the draw.
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
Yeah, and that was fine. Learned my lesson. Turn 7, I set up a wall of elves, with the blitzer in the corner and a wall of elves between him and the orc.
Yeah.
I mean, as it is, the Dark Elves scored back, so Dragonborn gets a draw. Speeding Bullet gets a 2-1 loss. Golden Gate gets I think it's only a 1-0 loss actually.
But he's not having a. I mean, one question's whether
it's a 2-0 loss. It's a 2-0 loss.
Maybe he should just be setting up 7 players in game in Game 6.
Yeah.
You know, just to say, well, it's going to happen anyway. Let's just start with 7 players. You know, how much worse can it be?
I mean, his description of the tournament was that, I mean, I think he had a good time, but he said almost every game was almost sort of not ruined, but affected by like heavy removals in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
Position, they removed him, and he kind of wasn't expecting to get blended. You know, 3 out of 6 games when he's using orcs. It's a bit unusual. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we finished the round with 2 draws and 2 losses in that game, and so we are now 2-0-3 going into round 6, which is
Okay.
not where we'd hoped to be at the start of day 1.
No. Okay.
Because you guys are well in the hunt now, right? So
yeah, we're on whatever table 2 is. We're on table 2. I mean, technically we're still sat on table 1 because we sat on table 1 all weekend for medical reasons. But yes, and before this round, we had a quick chat with each other and we said, right, we knew we were in the hunt, 3-1-0. And we also knew some of the other teams that were knocking around up the top. And we knew that if we could do this one, you know, we were assuming, you know, kind of, that if we win this round, we might well be on for playing the Italian team that you guys faced in round 1. They were undefeated at this point, you know, and looking very, very strong. And we were thinking, well, wouldn't it be fun to play effectively a Team Italy, you know, a Team Wales versus Team Italy for the UK champion, you know, the title in round 6. So, you know, let's get stuck in, boys. So we were all feeling very good. And we played a team that team name is better to pass out than pass. And and I know 2 of the guys on this team. We'll cover it now. And I think the initial plan of this team had been to kind of have a bit of fun, drink quite a lot, and mess about. And all of a sudden, on day 1, they found themselves 3-0-0, and they'd kind of changed their plans. And I think, so the team name was not reflective of them. You know, we were not playing versus a team that was half cut. We were playing versus a Danish team that were playing exceptionally well.
Yeah.
So Davo had a guy called Macherto. I was playing Hargrim, who is known in the Blood Bowl 2 community. Hawker was playing Seabrawl, who is a Blood Bowl 2 streamer. He also has dabbled a bit into Fumble. Was playing in TSD, but has pulled out for various reasons.
All of those 3 have played in TSD.
Oh, have they? Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. I wasn't sure. And then 20p was playing a guy called Hasselnutty. I think it was Purple Chest said it did look rather like Seabrawls and Hargrim had been brought to the tournament by their respective dads, because
nice.
You know, you've got 2 massive guys, and then Seabrawl and Hargrim are. They're not super short, right? But they're smaller.
Now,
and it
is Hargrim the guy that, despite not being English or British, speaks?
Oh, amazing! Yes.
English with an incredibly like quick English kind of accent.
Yes.
Not the chap.
Yeah.
So nice were you two having a sort of, you know, who sounds?
No, we were more just trying to knuckle down and play very seriously, because neither of us wanted to lose to the other one, and we also knew it was going to be a good match. So So Davo was playing Khorne versus Orcs, which I don't think Davo was too keen on. Hawker was playing versus Seabrawl's Necro. And 20p was facing Dark Elves, and I was facing High Elves. Now,
this isn't sounding great for you guys on matchups.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the ideal that we wanted. I think if we could have asked for a slightly different shake-up, we would have done. But you know, we were still feeling confident, right? Now, I'd been using a chess clock all weekend. I didn't mention it on the first podcast. I realised last night after we finished recording that I didn't mention it. I used a chess clock all tournament just to get in the habit of it, because it's an option for Euro Bowl, and as I'm on the team, 20p had asked people to get a bit of practice in, just to make sure that you're not thrown if your opponent goes, oh, by the way, I want to play with a clock. So you can say, yes, that's absolutely fine. I've been practicing with it for the last year. And
I'll
so,
mention that actually. So
okay.
in my round 3, when I played Loner,
Yeah.
that's one of the things he said. He sat down and he said, I'm a bit slow, so can we play a chess clock from all game? And it was fine. It was, you know,
Yeah. I played. All the rounds were absolutely fine for me. Okay, no problem with that. But the reason why I bring it up is because I set the chess clock up and everything. We start my turn, and he's opted to kick to me. Fine, not great, but fine. And I'm aware on my turn ordering, and I go, okay, right. The ball lands quite central. He's done an offset LOS. And so what I do is I kind of screen the ball, but no one stood next to the ball. Okay? But it's so the ball's kind of in a cage of sorts, but no one stood next to the ball, because the last action of the turn is going to be the ghoul goes in and picks the ball up, and then I'm going to move the next guy in just to secure it up, right? But the reason why I don't put anyone next to the ball is in case the pickup fails, you don't want the bobble out and then the elves to run round and get it, okay?
Okay.
So I do that bit first, and I take my first LOS block, and it's a double skulls. And it took me 5 minutes, because I watched the clock tick away. It took me 5 minutes to make my decision.
Got to re-roll that, surely.
Well, you say this. The ball is caged, right? I've got 3 re-rolls with the leader, but if I then fail the pickup, I don't want to then go down to 1 re-roll. So I'm going to have to let the ball go anyway if I do it and stuff. And so I thought, and I decided not to re-roll it in the end. And I really thought, and even right now when I look back at it, I don't know if I should have re-rolled it or not. Okay? And I know gut instinct, you go, okay, re-roll it, right? But looking at the board the way I did, I thought it was going to be okay. It was not okay.
Yeah.
On his turn 1, he had the ball on a blodger.
Oh.
Okay, he had to roll, he had to, blitz this, do some dodges, blah, 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 whatever, right. He had the ball on a blodger.
Oh, dear.
Was I panicking at this point? No, not at all. Not at all. Do you know why I wasn't panicking? Because I counted and I worked out that with a reroll, I could get a lot of dice on the ball carrier. Not 1Ds, 2Ds, okay?
More than 6?
With recovery options. Oh, more than 6 dice on the ball. Oh, yes.
Right, okay, so statistically, reasonable chance of knocking him over.
Oh, yes. And I've got good recovery options. I can choose which players I start with so that I always have people available with hands. All these little things, that you have to think about with Necro, right? First 2 dice don't knock him down. Second 2 dice don't knock him down. It's a frenzy wolf. Okay, fine. Next 2 dice come in from a wraith, I think it was. They don't knock him over. Okay, this is fine. Next 2 dice come in, I think, from the other wraith. They don't knock him over. So I've done 8 dice now. And then maybe those 8, maybe on the 8th set of dice, that's when I decide to re-roll it, because then I'm using up my last recovery piece as the final way of getting the hit or something like this. So at 10 dice, it doesn't knock him over.
Oh, God.
And then 12 dice doesn't knock him over. And, I mean, at this point, Hargrim's looking at me going, I'm really sorry, mate, you know. And I said, it's fine, right? What can you genuinely, you can't ask for much more, okay? So there was a choice that I had to make on turn 1 about re-rolling or not, okay? And that's a decision that I had to make, and I will stand by that decision that I made to not re-roll it, If I could see the board again, maybe I should have taken my phone out and taken a picture to see the board and had a deeper think about it. But where it was, it took 5 minutes of thinking, and I decided not to re-roll it. And then I got 12 dice on a blodge piece and didn't roll a POW in 12 dice. And trust me, I changed out my dice. It wasn't the same two actual physical dice I was rolling. No, I rolled many different dice, many different colours. Really mixed it up, trying to find that POW.
I feel like that's possibly the mistake.
It could well be the error I made.
Just roll the same dice until they find
the same dice until they find the POW. Yeah. They need to get warmed up a bit, maybe.
You reset the statistical.
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, at this point, on turn 2.
Gone wrong.
So on turn 2, wrong, I'm in deep trouble right now. So I say, I walk down the table, because obviously I'm captain, so I'm keeping an eye on things. And I walk down the table I tell 20p's watched it happen, sat next to me and gone, oh God, you're going to have to do something here. So I walk down, I check with Hawker, and Hawker's doing okay versus Seabrawl. But yeah, I said, look, I'm in trouble here, okay. And I go to Davo and I go, Davo, I'm in trouble on my game. I'm probably lost the game at this point, And Davo goes, well, I've probably lost my game as well because my bloodletter or bloodthirst or whatever you call it, the big guy, got taken out on turn 1. So I sit down back opposite Hargrim on, getting ready to do my turn 3, as it were, going, oh God, we've got Davo in a sticky situation and me staring down the barrel of the gun. And then begins a chase around the pitch with Hargrim trying to stall out as long as he can on my drive and me trying to, get him as much as I can. I think in that whole process as well, I roll another double skulls and eat it because I've got 2 rerolls and but I don't want to, or no, maybe I do use the reroll. And I'm just rolling another double skulls and Hargrim's like, oh sorry man, and I'm like, it's fine. But I'm just trying everything I can to find a little chance, any sliver that I can get to give me a chance. Anyway, he pops it in on turn 5 of my drive. I get enough pressure on that he puts it in on turn 5. So I've got 3 turns to see if I can equalise and then hold off his 1 turn and maybe we can go in and see if we can do something. Unfortunately, though, as you know, when you're trying to do a short drive push, you end up having to give up some field position, pitch control and stuff. So rapidly it becomes, not only does it become a can I score to go 1-1, it suddenly turns into can I not go 2-0 down on my drive. There's a rather humorous situation where the people that watch my Twitch stream will know that I do this thing where I like to call out the dice roll that I need. So, if it's the best example is a 5-me, I need a 5-me, because I do a lot of Saurus dodging and stuff like this. So I always ask for the 5-me. And it hits the situation where I look Hargrim dead in the eyes and I say 5-me, and I roll the 5, and I go POW me, and I roll the POW. It's this sort of thing, but it's all fun and games, right? But it's literally reached that point where that's the kind of nonsense I'm needing. I'm needing 5+ dodges and POWs. But by some miracle, Nuffle looks down upon me and says, "Okay, Hellboy, today you're only going 1-0 down on your drive." So I'm 1-0 down, and I'm looking round, and Davo is really in trouble. Hawker's fighting hard against Seabrawl. 20p's it's been pretty under control on his one. So I'm looking at this going, I've just got to get some sort of draw out of this. Some sort of draw from somewhere. And Hargrim goes to 2-turn. He wants to go 2-0 up and get into a shootout, And by some just, again, Nuffle must look down on me. And the 2-turn, he rolls a snake. on the switch play. I can't stop the switch play because I've had to shut him down completely.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he could have scored in the second turn with the 2-turn. I can't shut it down. But he rolls a snake. And all of a sudden, I can see this opportunity. And you know, the next turn, I've got the ball in hand. And then he sacks me back. And then I sack him back. And then he sacks me back. And we're effectively just burning turns at this point, right? Which is kind of working in his favour more than mine. And he manages to score. On his turn 6.
Eesh.
Now that gives me 3 turns to score 2 touchdowns. Mathematically almost impossible unless a kickoff event might occur and send your counter going the correct way. And the kickoff result occurred and we gained an extra turn.
Nice.
So, I throw everything into a 2-turn. Absolutely everything. Because I have to get something, right? And during him trying to stop my 2-turn, he burned his last reroll.
No.
I get the 2-turn. So, all of a sudden, I've got 2 more turns.
Yeah.
To do something here. And or maybe it was even more. Or did we roll a riot again? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm losing track of the actual turns. Maybe I have 3 turns for some reason. Maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe we roll a riot again. Anyway, whatever happens, he's got no rerolls. I've got a chance. Okay. With no rerolls, the ball lands in his end zone. He's got no sure hands. He is terrified to touch the ball in case he rolls the 1 and gifts me a draw. So he screens up, he layers his players, screens up, and leaves me on my turn, on turn 7 of his half, on my turn 7. He leaves me a 4+, 3+, 4+, 2+, 4+, 2+, 4+. Something like that sequence, depending on where you put the GFIs in or whatever. You know, we're calling it, okay? Basically, there's no 5s or 6s in that sequence. And
what is that? Still probably like a 5%?
Yeah, it's not great, right? However, the 3-4, the 4-3-4-4, those 4 rolls are all dodges, and I've got a ghoul that's got inbuilt dodge. Okay.
Yeah.
The GFIs are 2+, right? And then the final 4+ is a pickup in a tackle zone in his end zone, and I've got 2 team rerolls.
Whoa.
So all of a sudden, that roll, that chance with no 5s or 6s in it, looks really, really good. And I looked at it for a bit, and I went, okay, I'm going to go for it now, because if I can get this, I can draw the game right here.
Yeah.
And I've still got a shot on turn 8 as well. Right, I've still got a shot on turn 8. So I do the 4+, popping dodge, the first 4+, and I pop dodge. Damn. I fail the next, I fail the 3+, but because I pop dodge on the first one, I use a team reroll. I then make the next bunch of 4s, fail a GFI. Oh, great. But I get myself dodged and onto the ball with the GFI, needing the 4+ pickup to draw the game. I mean, okay, he can still 1-turn me, right?
Yeah.
But again, as with my previous game in the morning, if you told me on turn 1 of this game, or turn 1 of his thing where, oh, by the way, Hellboy, you've just rolled 12 dice and knocked the blodger over, but you're going to have a coin flip to draw the game. You know, I would take that any day of the week, right? So I shake my dice cup. Pop it down on my mat, and I look at it, and everyone's gathered round. You know, it's one of these real moments in the tournament. And I lift it up, and it's a 1. So I haven't made the pickup. I do get a shot at it next turn, but this time it's a 6-5, 6-5. I think that I need, and I don't make the 6. The first one, you know, I've got no rerolls, right? But yeah, I was very happy with how I played from being effectively on fire from, you know, turn 1. You know, I nearly salvaged the game there. So, and you know, to get to a coin flip stage, I was pleased with that. Again, as I said before, I don't know if I should have re-rolled. Maybe I should have done. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I think maybe weighing on my mind was also the fact that if I was going to play Necro with 2 re-rolls, I'm not re-rolling that. So, and I was kind of, you know what I mean. So, you know, there's other things going on there.
I always think, and this is just me personally, I always think I can play with 2 re-rolls. So that third one is usually just for some kind of early nonsense. I never mind burning that first re-roll in the first 2 or 3 turns, because I know I'm usually fine with 2 for the rest of it. You know, for the rest of the drive.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, maybe you know. That's what this one is for.
Yeah, and I'm fully, you know, if you put me in the situation again, would I re-roll it? Yeah, maybe I would do it this time. You know.
Well, who can say? Because I mean, I don't know. You get the ball, you don't have 12. You know,
exactly. You know, the other thing is, exactly. You know, I look like a hero if after 4 dice I've powered that blodger. You know, because I'm not in trouble. But hey, anyway, that happened. So going round the table then for the rest of it. Davo, after going 4-0-0 with Khorne, finally meets his match after losing his big guy on turn 1. And loses to the Orcs 1-0. But you know, it was fine. So we've got 2 losses there. 20p manages to beat Hasselnutty's Dark Elves 1-0 with his undead. So that's fine. And Hawker and Seabraw have engaged in a good old tete-a-tete throughout the game. But unfortunately, Seabraw basically had to play the entirety of the second half, or half the second half, while Hawker was chasing the win, being down both werewolves. And and it made a big difference, and Hawker was able to just get the job done. So we managed to get a team draw, you know, with a coin flip effectively for the team win. So pretty happy with that. You know, I wasn't upset or anything, but I was just a bit, you know, it was just one of those games that when in the moment it was quite, you have to deal with these things very quickly. You know, you have to get over these things mentally very quickly. So I just processed it as quick as I could, and got on with it. But yeah, so we were now 3-2-0 going into the final round, where we knew the win was off the cards now, but a podium was still on. So we'll come back to see how we get on in our round 6. But how did you guys get on in round 6?
Yeah, well, I mean, despite the loss, we managed just about to stay in the main room.
Hey,
so that was
the step counter. The step counter not ramping up as you're walking from room to room this time.
Yeah. Which was a shame. The other room was nice. No, it was, you know, it was. So we stayed there, and we played against the Gobblers. I think they're called Gobblers. The Gobblers. I presume that's some kind of league. They're referring to. Dragonborn was against Lord Chelmsford. Speeding Bullet was against L Planet 4. Golden Gate was against Dorbs, and I was against a chap called Brock Dodge.
Ah, Brock Dodge, fan of the podcast. Hello, Brock. How's it going?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So So Dragonborn is. Hang on, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. Dragonborn
You've
is
got
up.
this. You've got this.
Yeah, I've lost it momentarily. Dragonborn is up against some orcs.
Okay. Dragonborn, just quietly, Dragonborn's undefeated at this point, isn't he?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we've been, I think, 3 or 4 times now to UKTC. Various guys of the same team, and in 2019, Speeding Bullet went 4-2-0 with his Wood Elves, and last time I went 5-0-1 with my Zons. And this time Dragonborn finds himself finishing in the top sort of 10 coaches or so, I think. And we have joked that if we could all get our act together,
Yeah, just do it all at the same year. Yeah, if you
do it all at the same time,
yeah,
we'd be pretty difficult to beat.
Yeah, pretty good, yeah.
So yes, Speeding Bullets Khemria against Nobility, Imperial Nobility.
Oh, there's a name you don't hear very often.
Yeah, so, and Golden Gates Orcs are against Lizards. So we've got, I think, an Orc-Lizard matchup at sort of either...
At one end and a Lizard Orc at the other one, yeah, okay, yeah.
And then I'm against Brock Dodge's Necro.
Yes.
So I sit down to play Brock Dodge, and he tells me that he's a fan of the podcast, and he tells me that you and he know each other pretty well, and he tells he's using your roster.
Yep. Yes, I did tell him about it. Yes, I checked. Yes.
Yeah, and he's nice guy. Really upbeat. By this point, I'm 1-3-1. So I suppose for some people that would be okay. For me, I am sort of looking at it going a bit blur, sort of thing. And we're 203, and so I'm sliding slightly towards grumpiness, if I'm being honest. And
really, you fear?
Yeah. And our friend Brock Dodge is incredibly positive about, or seems to be incredibly positive about life in general.
Oh yes. Yes.
So I will apologise to him if because sometimes when someone is being so positive, it's not their fault, but because you're sort of sliding towards grumpiness, it just makes you more grumpy. and it might be to do with my age, or and I am aware that I was possibly a little short with him on a couple of occasions, and I didn't really mean
dear.
because he was such a nice guy, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So he's using Necro. We already know what roster you're using. So
you've heard about it all this episode and the previous one. Yep. So yeah, you know the limitations, you know the strengths, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do now.
Yeah, you do now. Yeah, at the time you
do this before I played him. Yeah. But he wins the toss and he elects to kick. So I've lost. I've lost 6 in a row, and he's the first one that's elected to kick. So yeah, I was a bit shocked. I was like, I don't know what to do about this.
Oh wow. Good man though. Good man. Good choice. I like opting to kick on that one. Yeah. Good, yeah.
And then he just effectively sort of lines up. I mean, pretty much like the Orc guy did in the previous game, except he's got the wraiths.
Yeah.
I try and push a blitzer past. I hit 3+. I snake the 2+.
Always the way.
The following turn, I pretty much do the same again. At which point, a rather startled Speeding Bullet is confronted with, because I just sort of, as I pick it up and it's a snake. I just turn to my right and just scream, a couple of obscenities. I say scream, shout a couple of, just to get it off my chest,
Yeah, clear the lungs, yeah.
But it's just at that moment when Speeding Bullet perhaps isn't, really focused in on his game, and he sort of turns slightly startled. I'm just sort of, screaming in his face, which is quite amusing. But he knows me well enough to he just laughed.
Oh yeah, I mean this is part of the fun of team tournaments, though, isn't it? As well,
Yeah,
you got your mates around you. You can have a little chat. You can have a rant if you need to, if that's your
yeah.
way of doing things. It's good fun.
And we all are very different. I mean, Dragonborn and Speeding Bullet are quite. They will internalise a lot of their frustration. Um, Golden Gate will. He's quite good with a quip and a pun. And to be honest, tried manfully, even in the face of the sort of language difficulties of some of his really complicated quips and puns. With some of the Italian coaches who just couldn't quite grasp what he was going at. But yeah, I will. Oh crap! I will shout and occasionally throw a dice cup at walls, not people, obviously. Yeah, I mean that second snake, that opens up. I mean, let's be really honest. With all due respect to my opponent, uh, this is probably the worst I have played in a game of tabletop Blood Bowl since, I would say, 2019.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Do you feel this was again though something that if is it a decision based thing? Is it the way you could have handled what was being put in front of you in terms of a couple of snakes and stuff?
Yeah, you know what?
Is it just game six exhausted?
No, I think I played really well against. I played really well against Morrow in the round before, and I
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
no, other than my mistake on my turn 7 of defensive drive, the other 15 turns were kind of went exactly how I wanted them to go. So and probably not how he wanted them to go. So you're playing against that kind of 200 ranked alt coach, second in the World Cup. That's gone really well. Don't know. Don't know what it was. The second one of those snakes, actually ended up leaving him a blitz on the ball carrier because he was
Oh
a couple
dear.
of players. But he didn't have any recovery, so I mean, the ball did bounce into the hands of his werewolf, which was.
Oh,
But it's fine because my wrestle catches back there, and that's 2 dice, and who needs wrestle because just roll powers, and
lovely. Yep.
and then we're back caged, and then we have that sort of that situation actually plays slightly to my advantage because this kind of very set line that he's got then is disrupted by his attempt to sort of push it on the ball, and one of his wraiths comes inside a little bit, and that gives me a route round the outside. And then for some explicable reason, I move what should be a cage corner, don't throw a necessary GFI. And so when I sort of half flip him, instead of it being safe, I've given him a 1 dice blitz on the ball with his wolf.
Oh, well done.
And if he rolls 2 pushes, I'm in the crowd. So,
Not the most optimal play you could have done.
Absolutely awful. And I'm incredibly fortunate that he rolls skull into skull.
Oh, really, Brock? I mean, I know he's going to listen. He's one of the people that's been asking when the next episode's coming. But Brock and I have talked a lot about the necro build and tactics and stuff. And I'd offer the advice to Brock that if the opponent offers you a 1 dice into 1 dice, really the most important thing you can do is not roll a skull.
Yeah, do not skull re-roll skull. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my tip for you, Brock.
The net result of the skull re-roll skull is that I'm then completely clear.
Yeah.
Completely flipped him. Cat just stood by the end zone. Everything's screened off. I surf his other wolf into a badly hurt, but it regens. So not no real loss there. And we're 1-0 at the half. And I have played Yeah, I've ridden my luck. If I could, at points feel like things have gone slightly against me in other games earlier in the tournament, as much as I will take, my own decisions on myself. But if I am looking at the first game and thinking, well, I felt a crucial 1 in 36, or if I am looking at the third game thinking he hit 5+4+5+, with the God Scatter, and if I am looking at the fifth game and thinking, well, he had to make a passing play. It's all come back in spades on that drive.
Yeah, it's swings and roundabouts, as they say.
I have equalised myself for the weekend, probably quite happily at that point. So his drive, he actually does a thoroughly good job. Probably the only player that really did all weekend of not only sort of knocking the players down on the line of scrimmage, but also kind of moving past them and kind of trying to box in some elves, which was quite. Nobody else did that all weekend. The kick was a little short. Good turn ordering. He covered it up nicely. And picked it up with a ghoul, and then sort of proceeded down what was my left-hand side in quite a nice sort of cage. And I only really had sort of 5 players to play with, I suppose, or 5 or 6 players to play with. I was maybe down an elf, so I probably had 5. And I just kind of moved my guys towards the middle, sort of around the sweet spot area, and just gradually, kind of one at a time, was just thinking, well, I've got to just trying to work an elf free off the line of scrimmage, sort of without needing 5+4+3+ to get him out.
Yeah.
And he sort of looked at it on turn 2 and found himself halfway in my half with the ball. And I suppose he's got a decision to make at that point. Does he want to win, or is he happy to draw? And on his turn 3, he ran them all backwards, back over halfway, and behind his flesh golems.
Oh, right, okay.
So at that point, I think he's decided he's happy to draw.
Yeah.
He said something like, were you sort of trying to trap me into running into that space? And I'm thinking, I couldn't stop you, I've got 5 elves to play with,
You're giving me a lot of credit here, Yeah.
So that's fine if he wants to draw.
Yes.
I'm happy with that. Next to me, Golden Gate is having the game where he deletes the opposition team. So leaving the field at a rate of knots.
Lovely.
I think Dragonborn is winning. Speeding Bullet is winning, or at least maybe stop nobility scoring and he's driving, or something like that. And I do lean out at one point and see him roll a both down with a Tomb Guardian on an ogre, and they both go down. Obviously, on the both down, both of them leave the field casualtied. And then the Tomb Guardian regens.
Oh, beautiful.
And you're like, yeah, that's just really. So without the ogre, you're thinking, well, they're in real trouble over their nobility. So you know what? We're winning the round. We're winning
it's one of those ones where if you can see that I had this one at the last UKTC I attended.
Mm-hmm.
All my other teammates were losing, and I had a choice to push for. I could just sit there and draw or push for the win, and I decided to go for the win, and we ended up drawing anyway. But the game was then your choice. What do you want to do, Hellboy?
Yeah, and it's kind of the opposite decision to the one I had the game before. We're probably losing the round, so I'll just draw it. Rather than losing.
Yep.
Maybe he thought the same. I can't think that my offensive play was that impressive that he would have been frightened about me scoring, though, because it was. If I was him, I'd probably been thinking, I've got this guy, but never mind. Look, he moved up the field quite nicely. Again, I defended. Not that it really made any difference. I defended horribly. It was sloppy. I kept misaligning my elf screen so that there was, it was never a straight line across the pitch. So he was always able to trap a bloody elf in. and I had to resort to 3+2+s to get him out. He had sufficient turns and sufficient momentum that when we got to the crux turn, I could not screen with a square in between the two players.
Oh.
So he was always going to have the jump. And I think with a team reroll and dodge skill, I think that makes it 66% touchdown or something, which is up from a 44%, which it would have been under the previous rule set.
Yep.
So you know what? I block a wolf just for whatever, and that slightly compromises my screen on my left-hand side. So I've left him. He actually only needed the 3+ dodge, but then I've managed to kind of 3+, 3+2+, double go for it and elf out to kind of cover the gap, at least to make it what it should be. He has a chance to push that player out the way, but he messes up the blitz, and so he leaves himself needing 4+3+.
Whoops.
When it could have just been 3+. And he knows that as soon as he's done it, right? But he needs 4+3+ to draw the game, or at least for it to be 1-1, and he finds that quite merrily. So we're 1-1, and then this is an interesting one because I'm about to just because it's movement 8. Unless you're going to tell me differently, the 1-2 is impossible against Necro. I think with movement 8. And therefore, I'm thinking, well, we're done now. It's 1-1. And I say to him, well, we should just set up in case I get the, what do you call it? The
Timeout.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And he says, yes, okay then. And then he sets up with what I suppose is a pretty good 2-turn touchdown defense.
Oh, no.
Which includes a zombie being stood on the line of scrimmage between...
Oh, no. Oh, he's fallen for the oldest trick in the book.
There's two things here. Firstly, it's completely unintentional on my part. I hadn't... Because I just wrote off the 1-turn touchdown as an option, And secondly, I don't care. So I deploy as to scoring 2, and I don't get timeout, and it's a 1-1 draw. And I noticed it, I saw it, and I thought, I'm happy to take a 1-1 draw. He played well. He tried hard. He was very, very focused during the game. And he was so positive about, weirdly, you, but also podcast and so on and so forth. And I thought I have potentially accidentally tricked him. And I am happy to go away from this weekend with a 1-4-1 rather than a potential 2-3-1.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, right?
And I know that he will listen to the podcast, and so I will mention it on the podcast, and that will be the way that he will learn not to do that.
Put the side stepper on and then defend a 2-turn as you would.
And actually, if it helps, because of the guard, it would have been a 1-die split.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say as well. Is that although
there's no guarantee. Although that would have been a push, and it would be the next block where I've knocked him down because that's what I always do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you'd have pumped the re-roll in and rolled a skull as well or something,
Yeah.
Okay.
So to wrap it up for us, we are. Dragonborn's had an absolute stormer, as I've alluded to already. So he's beat the Orcs 2-0, and he has gone 4-0 for the weekend, backing up his 4-0 in the tournament before that he played. That was a team tournament that the boys won. I think he's now parked his Lizard ranking on about 190 something.
Brilliant. Round of applause. Good man.
He's in the top 20 English Lizardman players, which is phenomenal for him.
Yep.
Speeding Bullet has come away with a 1-0 win over Nobility. and so finishes the weekend on 3 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. His 2 losses being to, Gerolds, Dark Elves, and I forgot the chap's name now. Mengoza's Skaven. So Italian coaches, top Italian coaches. Golden Gate comes away with a 2-2-2, in which every game somebody got murdered, whether it was his team or the other guys. Yeah, and that seems to. And I finish on a 1-4-1, and as a team, we finish on a 3-0-3. What's interesting is that we beat every one of the UK teams we played 3-1-0, and we lost to all of the international teams that we played. And I suppose that leaves us feeling like, and the results were sort of there was always moments in every game where we might have done slightly better against the international teams, but equally when we looked at it, if any one of us had not been there with COVID, and we'd had an automatic loss in the place, it wouldn't have changed the result in any given fixture.
Yeah.
So we're sitting, it seems, in some kind of weird space where we are, we're doing very well against other league teams, shall we say. But obviously we're not quite there at the sort of the cutting end of the international level.
And the other thing to remember is that a team tournament requires basically 2 games mustn't implode.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't have 2 nightmare games happen in the same round, if you're a good team, you should be able to win. So there is even more rubber the green required than an individual tournament where you can go, I'm going to push to win this game. You know what, I'm just going to cut my losses and just try and go undefeated this tournament or whatever. In the team tournament, you are making a lot more decisions and really need that stability more than you do in an individual.
Yeah, I think it was just it's enjoyable to play with the guys, and it's just interesting to see where you end up leveling.
Yeah, sure.
And without being, and I don't mean this, to be particularly taken the wrong way. There are plenty of teams that were in the top, top half of the top, that finished above us, shall we say, that didn't have anyone on paper, quite the same.
Yeah. I think
level of opposition for half the game.
Yeah, I think the same thing is going to happen. Well, we said it with Water Bowl, right? You remember my Water Bowl day 1.
Yeah.
We both looked around that room and went, to be honest with you, if you play 70% of the coaches in this room, you're 3-0-0. If you can play that well against the guys that you did, you're 3-0-0 on day 1 against 70% of the room. It just so happens you hit the 2% of the room, as it were, where you're actually,
no matter what,
you're in trouble, So I do think, in a big tournament like that, there will be the round, there will be some luck of the draw, there will be some stuff that happens. So especially in the middle, you start to see that.
To finish with none of us having a negative record, I suppose, is a good take home in the car on the way home.
Yeah,
and to finish with, even our points scored and our kind of our individual kind of, is it like a 10-9-5 or something like that, was kind of fairly up there with teams that finished above.
Yeah, very good.
When you look on the sort of paper results, you kind of come away quite happy. But the 3-0-3, I suppose we'd hoped it had been a 4-0-2.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, but yeah, it's good. How did you guys finish up in in game 6 then.
Okay, so game 6, we were playing against a Spanish team. So we've gone through 3 UK teams on day 1 and played 3 international teams on day 2. We were playing Retro Monga 3.
Woo!
Who were all lovely guys. However, my God, could they slam their dice cups? Not for any reason, not overly excited or anything like that, really. Apart from one of them, which we'll come on to in a minute. But yeah, my guy was.
I've played against these guys in 2019.
Yeah, lovely. But my God, they can slam their dice cups. The guy
they had a soundboard in 2019
okay.
they would press to play music every time something good happened.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, thankfully they didn't have that. Otherwise, I might have dug out some headphones. But no, my guy was absolutely lovely. So we had Davo played a guy called Begotta. Davo was versus Elven Union, so that's an interesting one. Hawker was playing versus Varag, who had brought Snotlings. And Hawker opened this by reaching for his rulebook, turning to me and saying, "What the F does Snotlings do?" Because he'd never played against Snotlings before.
So just to clarify, because Varag's the guy I played
in
2019 and beat, he finishes the tournament on most cats.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh yes. No, it gets good. It gets good. I mean, the sheer glee on this guy's face as he's explaining what the Snotlings can do to Hawker, who's just sat there going, "What do you mean they've all got sidestep? What do you mean what's a pump wagon?" It was very funny. 20p's playing a guy called Lutuxo, I don't know. Anyway, a Chaos Renegades. And I am playing Jasmine, a guy called Jasmine, who has brought humans. Very similar build to the build that, same team composition as Podfree took. With a couple of halflings and stuff. But different skills though. He's got a mighty blow. He's got a frenzy. He's got a dirty player. It's good. It's good fun. So we start the match, and I get the feeling, when you're playing someone and you're like, you get a feel quite early on. You're like, okay, I'm in a bit of trouble here, but I think I'm slightly better than you. Not massively better, but I think I can give you a problem that you're not going to be able to solve. You know what I mean? You get that feeling, and sure enough, on turn 6, he's used all his rerolls. And I start basing things up and going, okay, I kick to him. And I start basing him up going, okay, well, you've got no rerolls now. Do you want to pop it in on turn 6? You haven't popped it in. I'm going to base you up. Do you want to pop it in on turn 7? I should add as well, we're playing in the snow. That does have an interesting factor when he goes push or whatever, rush or whatever you want to call it, and rolls a 2, and I lie his player down on the floor, and he goes, "Oh, I'd forgotten about the snow." But I just assumed he knew. Like genuinely, I didn't think I'd remind him. And neither of us were taking any GFIs deliberately. You know how it is. It's so on turn 7 he takes the 1 GFI and rolls a 2, and he's got no rerolls, so I laid his player down. I thought it's one of those things where the sportsmanship, if I could have had some reminder, a visual reminder for us to say there's snow, then if we'd got that, then that's fine. But no, he'd already rolled the dice. Everything had happened. And I just went, laid his player down. But basically, he decided to stall out. He had a choice on turn 7. He decided to throw some dice and stall out. And so on turn 8, he had I used my last reroll on turn 7 to try and get a 2 dice on the ball, where if I rolled a push, I'd have had 2 dice on the ball, but I rolled a both down skull, re-rolled it into a both down skull, so I had to take the both down as block. So I was a little bit annoyed because I thought, oh, I could have had 2D on the ball there, and punished him for that one. But in the end, he basically had sidestepper on the ball, I think. He basically had to roll, I think to clear the ball, he needed to roll 3 blocks without block to be able to score. And he just kept it just never came up how he needed it to come up. He didn't fail anything, but it just was like, it was pushes and I'd sidestep to where I needed to be. When he did go with the block guy, he rolled the both down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it ended up with him needing a 3+ dodge into the end zone to score with no reroll. And I'm sat here, I'm watching him rolling all these things, and I know what he's doing as well. He's failing foul appearance. He keeps rolling 1s on the foul appearance. So he's just not moving the wraiths and stuff. So he's left with this dodge. And rather unfortunately for me, he makes it and scores. And I felt a bit like, I didn't feel like massively like hard done or anything, but I did feel that I'd read the situation. He'd burnt his reroll on turn 6, his last reroll on turn 6, and I thought, I've had maybe even turn 5. It's like I'm just like, I recognise that I could probably make this really uncomfortable for you, and it was, but hey, it didn't work.
He got there.
Yeah, he got it. So then he sets up, and as you recall from the Water Bowl episode, if you listen to the Water Bowl episode, you'll remember the fear. On turn 6, Vagabond set up on turn 8, thinking it was turn 9, effectively. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And this guy did exactly the same thing. And so I looked at this and went, okay, well, I've got no rerolls, but you've just given me a 1-turn option here. And because I'm not going to need dodges at the end, I don't need to worry about doing a movement 7 1-turn with my ghoul. I can now do a movement 8 1-turn with my wolf because I don't need to dodge through the line.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I think it through and I position dice and I can see it dawn on him all of a sudden when he panically turns to his teammate and goes, I think I've left a 1-turn on, I've made a mistake, it's the wrong turn, this sort of thing. I don't wish to blow my own trumpet, but a movement 8 1-turner is not that hard if you're familiar with it. And I get to the point where he also manages to kick the ball out of bounds, so the wolf gets the ball immediately. So that's lovely.
At that moment, you're thinking this is on now.
Well, I get to the point. I do all the hard work, right? I get to the point where I need the 3+ and a dodge. And then it would normally be 2 2+s, but because we're in the snow still, it's 2 3+s.
Yeah.
So I need a 3 3 3 to go 1 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm happy because I've got to this point. And I failed the dodge, unfortunately. But I did the hard work, right? And I was happy with that.
Does the werewolf survive?
Yes, the werewolf is fine. Yeah. I'm down to 1 werewolf because he did chip 1 in the first half and it didn't regen. But all is fine. All is fine. Okay. And I'm looking around and Hawker has scored on his drive, but is just maniacally laughing next to me while he sets up. I think it was like 6 elves for the defense. Okay. He's just like, I don't know what to do. I'm 1-0 up. Thank God he didn't make the 1-turn. It's this kind of thing.
Yeah.
20p is just is sat there feeling quite confident in his game. And Davo's doing fine as well. So I'm looking at this going, yeah, this is all right. Should be fine. So I set up, ready for my drive, and he rolls a blitz. And on the blitz, I've set up to cover as much of the field as I can, and obviously you have to leave something open to be hit. And unfortunately, the werewolf, humans are fast, and there's my werewolf in range. And there goes my second werewolf into the box.
Oh dear.
And then I get the ball, and it's a bit of a scramble and stuff, and I'm trying to do stuff, and then every time he touches something, it explodes. And on turn 3 of my drive, he's used all his rerolls.
Right. Okay.
And then begins the hilarious situation where I've only got 2 players with hands that can reliably pick up the balls. The ball, the ghouls, the 2 ghouls.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, because I got both werewolves out. I've also managed to kill a player in the first half and raise the dead, raise a zombie. So I've actually gained a zombie.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was good. So I was pleased with that and stuff. But then the zombies are getting removed and then begins the hilarious situation where the ghoul with the ball dodges out the tackle zone, which he's put on it, and I fail the dodge, and the ghoul stuns himself. And then the next turn, the other ghoul goes to pick it up from the floor, picks the ball up, dodges out the tackle zone, stuns himself, and the other ghoul unstuns. And then the third turn in a row, the ghoul goes, recovers the ball, picks it up, dodges out the tackle zone, fails the dodge, stuns himself, the other ghoul unstuns. And while this is going on, my team is slowly being removed from the pitch. Jasmine said to me at the start of the game, when I presented him with the chess clock, he said to me at the start of the game, he said, "Oh, we don't need a chess clock." He said, "I play very, very fast." He said, "I promise you, we'll be the first ones to finish." And when on turn 14, I had no players in range that could score, and Jasmine looked at me and said, "Do you want to stop there?" And I said, "Yeah, that's 2-0 to you." I had both wolves in the box, both whites in the box, both whites in the box, Wraith, in the box, and 5 zombies, because I'd raised one of them from the dead, in the box, and on the field were 2 flesh golems and 2 ghouls.
This is the game where you got blended. There's always one in 6
This
games.
is the game where I got blended, and I look at that game and go, the first half, I think I probably played it. I mean, I made mistakes, right? My werewolf got hit early, so that's clearly a mistake on my part. But I recognised my opponent's skill level. I offered him difficult puzzles. He couldn't solve the puzzles, either through bad decision making or not hitting the right dice. And he had a 66% chance to score. And he had no rerolls for 3 turns. And I did the hard work on a 1 turn, and it didn't work. My opponent had no rerolls on turn 3 of my drive.
Well, he doesn't need the rerolls if you've got no players.
Exactly, and he just annihilates me. So I look back at it and I go, well, the first 10 turns or so, I was pretty happy with what happened. So yeah, so that was that.
But what I've always found interesting is the Spanish players that I've played. They don't. You notice we don't have any Spanish players in TSD at the moment, and
yeah,
to engage in quite the same extent as like the Italians and the Germans and the Swiss and the English, and as a result, the play style seems. When I've run into people that do play on football, people like Zarro and Legolas, or when I played Varag at UKTC, the play style is subtly different. They do they do play slightly more aggressively, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Than, and it surprised me. I mean, I remember playing one guy in football in a NAF tournament, and he scored on turn 4. And that really confused me. But then he just turned me over and scored again. So it was just they are interesting.
Yeah. No,
Fact that
they were
to
good.
develop a slightly different. It's a more aggressive play style, I think, than we're used to seeing at the sort of top level.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, so there we go. So you've gone down.
So I've lost, unfortunately. So I've ended the weekend on 2-1-3.
Yeesh.
I'm not very happy with, I've the team has carried me that weekend. Overall though, I was quite pleased with how I played. And I felt like I'd played well again. Obviously I need to improve, because you don't, I can't blame everything on these massive swing turns and stuff. Swing turns happen, but so yeah. But I mean, now I look back on it, I think I played okay, and the team forgave me for carrying them, them carrying me rather. So yeah, so I've lost that one. Hawker has managed to draw his game with no players left on the pitch, and he's had a great time. He's an absolute laugh. Hawker ends the weekend 3-2-1, very solid. Made the smallest improvement on his Dark Elf ranking imaginable, 1 point something. But yeah, so that's good. 20p on the side of me. Gets not robbed of a win, but there are 2 low odds plays that occur on back-to-back turns that both work, that take a 2-1 win for 20p and turn it into a 1-1 draw. So at the moment as a team we're sat on 0-2-1. 20p I think was very favourite to win that game. Played very well. And absolute credit to 20p, not just because he listens to the podcast, but absolute credit to 20p. He turned around his day one, which lesser men would have, or women would have struggled with, going 0-1-2. Turned it around and went 2-1-0 against arguably harder opponents. Nearly 3-0-0 on day 2. So massive credit to 20p for doing for leading from the front as Welsh captain and going, you know what, guys, it's time to step up and play. So that was really good on a personal level, I think, from him. But that left Andy Davo on the far end, who managed to get the win.
Hey.
Against the Oven Union, 2-1 win, and Andy went 5-0-1 with Corn, backing up his 3-0-0 and tournament win at Stonebowl with Corn. So a fantastic weekend all round from the guys, and we ended on 3-3-0, and we finished 6th overall on the final standings.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us feel a little bit like we may have left something there. You know, we didn't, you know, maybe some silverware should have come home with us. You know, as I said earlier, you know, just don't have 2 games where things go wrong in team events, and you know, we could have very easily been 4-2-0. 5-1-0 even in those matchups, and then of course you're playing different teams at that point. But you know, we were in it. So yeah, I think me and the boys might be looking at a possible repeat next year. See what happens. So
wow, yeah.
So with that,
the tickets went on sale this morning.
Yeah. We were having a discussion earlier. So with that's our personal roundups done. And I think everyone listening, hopefully everyone enjoyed that, and I think that it's really interesting reflecting on it, isn't it, Fia? Because I think we both felt, you know, if we'd done the podcast the day after the tournament, I think this would have sounded a bit different, you know, a bit more different, our discussion. But I think being able to take a step back and assess your performance and then talk about it in this nice measured way, you actually see a lot more positives, and also where you need to improve and where those key decisions were made in matches.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, still kind of reflecting, it probably comes across from me. I'm still not seeing a massive lot of positives for myself. I, as you know, kind of worked quite hard over the last couple of years. Yeah, invested quite a lot of time and money into getting better at Blood Bowl, and you know, I run a league on Fumble that, at least in part, is so that I can play against as many good players as possible to help me get better, and therefore to have had my worst UKTC in terms of victories. My previous team, I equally played against. I didn't mean the first one. I didn't have a clue where any of them were, but equally played against a good lot of international coaches and beat them, 200 ranked coaches and beat them. So to have done all of that, come away really having contributed a 0-4-1, because my one win was
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
not even a proper sort of match in the sense of the tournament. We were kind of gifted that win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
And to feel rounds 1 and 3 I made errors that cost us more positive results in the round. I think that's an interesting one to sort of square away, because you feel like, well, actually, maybe I've got worse. I don't think I have. In reality,
no. I think, yeah.
I've got better. I probably haven't got, I've got away with a few things, perhaps at previous tournaments, that I haven't got away with in this. But equally, I've got to look at it and say, has getting better made me play in a more, I don't know, more passive way? Naturally, as a coach, am I a little bit more aggressive? Am I more of a make things happen kind of a coach than a wait? Yeah, probably I am. So what's been interesting is give myself a bit of license since the tournament in some of the Fumble games I've played of actually saying, well, I'm going to go after people a little bit and see what happens there. Still playing top coaches, still playing sort of Euro Bowl and international level coaches. And that's been quite interesting and has had some pretty positive results. So it might be a catalyst for something else, actually, in terms of. And actually, that style of play is probably a style of play I enjoy a little more.
Sure. I think there's,
and that's probably part of the problem for me with the whole thing, is actually, when I look back on it, I enjoyed the social aspect. I enjoyed meeting the people. I've been waiting for 2 years to go, and I had quite a tough time through COVID for the pandemic, through various reasons, and yourself and those 4 guys that I played with were people that were incredibly helpful to me in terms of keeping my head above water, and so it was great to go spend time with people, right?
Sure.
But the Blood Bowl. I think
I
love it. I didn't really enjoy the Blood Bowl, I think, is the problem.
My take on it, before we move on to the final bit of the episode, my take on it is remember, there are 2 real cliches that get thrown around, which are actually very true. It's always darkest before the dawn, and the road to the summit is not a straight line. And
I may be about to become world number 1. Who knows?
Exactly, but you can, what we are trying to do, what we're trying to convey on this podcast is things like, we are trying to say, let's take my game, the game where I roll 12 dice on the blodger and don't knock him over. I've got 2 options that I can take away from that game. Either I can whinge about I rolled 12 dice and didn't knock over a blodger, or I can look at it and go, well, for the rest of that game, you worked your absolute socks off to try and get a draw, and you left it with a coin flip. something mentally inside me didn't break. I carried on going, because I've faced previous matches where I have sat there and complained about the fact that I haven't rolled 12 dice with no POW,
Yeah.
and it's effective. Or you've found yourself down to 3 players and pulled a draw out your backside. So you can do it when you're down only when you've got 6 players. Oh well, this is easy, Oh, I did it the other week with only 3, So don't these experiences will come back and help you in the long run, I think. So but it's all about the attitude. It's all about looking for the attitude, and that's that.
Yeah. Keep playing and keep enjoying it. And
Exactly. So shall we wrap up the episode then by just looking at a couple of the rosters from the winners? So if I pull up my I've got the webpage.
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a shout out to a chap called Lemmy Winks, who finished the tournament with the most touchdowns.
Oh, fantastic!
Was hang on, I'll do a bit of calculation. 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow, hang on, I can't do the maths. 9, 10, 11. I think it's 21.
21 touchdowns.
No, that's a lie. Take 4 off that and add 1. So take 3 away. 18 touchdowns.
18 touchdowns. So it's an average of 3 touchdowns a game.
And he did that with humans.
Oh, wow.
Now he plays in the Shropshire League that I play in, and he was there with another team of players from that league, and actually there were 2 more teams that were there from our league. And he went 402 in scoring his touchdowns.
Oh wow! Okay.
It was as follows: with his humans, he beat Snotlings 6-1. He then lost to Bibby's Chaos Dwarfs 2-1.
Okay, but he got a touchdown. Okay.
Yeah. He then beat some Dwarfs 1-0.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
He then beat some Black Orcs 5-0.
Oh my god.
Then in the 5th game, I think they played the same Spanish team that you played in game 6.
Oh right, okay.
And he lost to some Underworld 2-0.
They didn't have Underworld. It will have been one of the other teams. Anyway,
might be one of the other Spanish teams. Yeah. Okay, but it was one of the Spanish teams,
okay.
and they lost 2-0. And he thinks that he was on my team in 2019 when we played some Spanish people, and I beat Varag. And he thinks he played exactly. Well, I think he's checked it on NAF. He played exactly the same guy.
Amazing.
Lost it as well. And then he won his last game against Goblins. I think that was also a 5-0.
Oh, wow. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Win most touchdowns by basically battering 3 opponents and just coasting the rest.
Yeah.
Amazing.
6-1 and 5-0s. In our league, we do have a because his surname is Malkin, and being Malkined is a thing in our league. And so it seems like 3 opponents got Malkined.
Amazing. Well done for that. Congratulations. Most touchdowns. Not always an award that goes down very well, especially in smaller tournaments, 3 games, should you be awarding a most touchdown? It's questionable. But I think no one can argue that 18 touchdowns is well worthy of a most touchdowns.
Yeah, mental.
Well done. So let's now move over then to the individual winner, seeing as we're on this. So UKTC is a team tournament, and obviously that is the main focus, but there is also an individual standings. Obviously you and me don't need to bother looking at where we finished this year because it's not particularly interesting. We will shout out to Davo and Dragonborn for their respective performances on our teams that put them nice and high. But the big shout out, they only offer 1 prize, the first place prize. No NAF trophy though, which seems a little harsh, but I understand the logic. Goes to a lovely, not only a lovely human being, but a very nice Blood Bowl player, Raging 82, Irish captain.
Yeah, Irish captain. And when I messaged him, he was good enough to point out that there were 3 people that finished on the same 510 record.
Okay.
His touchdown difference and opponent score effectively won it for him.
Okay.
But you know, and as much as I know who one of those is, I can't remember who the other is. So I won't mention, you know, any of them. I don't want to miss anybody out.
No.
What I can say about Raging 82 is though he only let in one touchdown
Oh wow.
in the tournament,
Wow.
and he
That's
scored
strong.
10. And he
That's
scored 10.
strong. That's strong. What was his roster?
Well, he did it using Chaos Renegades.
Oh right, okay. Okay,
Which is a bit of a
Renegades.
shock.
Well, we had an interesting discussion about Renegades in the previous episode, didn't we? So what?
Yeah.
I assume he ran what, three big guys, your elf, your rat, your etc., and just
No, God no, God
what?
no,
Oh, okay,
absolutely not. Um,
okay.
He's got a Minotaur with block,
Okay. Oh, very good. Yep, nice.
Ogre with guard.
Very nice.
That's it for the big guys, just the two.
What? No,
Right?
no troll.
No Trod or Rat
Oh.
Ogre, no.
Oh wow. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, God, I'm rapidly rethinking our preview for UKTC.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
we were criticising Renegades as not really, you know. Well, I'm
But
not sure if
tell
we're
you,
going to do it.
I'll give you a few more in a minute. But anyway, so we've got an Orc with block, a Skaven with wrestle, a Goblin with sneaky get,
Okay. All fine. Yep.
8 linemen,
Nice.
1 sure hands, 1 block, 2 wrestle,
Oh, nice. Nice. I
Three
like it. I
rolls.
like a double wrestle. Yeah.
3 rerolls, a coach, and a bribe.
Oh, a bribe.
About it.
Ooh.
What he said about it is there's less concern over the nega traits by only having the 2 big guys.
Yes.
He's not using an elf because he's had mixed success with it in the past.
Okay.
And actually carrying with a human, I think is probably avoiding
Animosity.
on crucial kind of handoffs.
Yep.
And yeah, there we go. So
Wow.
82 with a very unconventional, and to be fair, it's not like he was sat down in you know.
No, he wasn't submarining it in a team
200 or
of
something.
in a team of new players. Yeah.
They were reasonably up there, his team. So
Well, congratulations to Raging 82, thoroughly deserved, and hopefully this is the start of some good runs for him because he's been working hard. So well done, Raging, well done.
the other team that we roundly slagged off on the preparatory
Yes,
was Slan.
yes,
And Slan finished the tournament with the highest win rate of any race.
yes. I mean, I think there is a
67%. 67%.
I know. I think there is a slight bias to that one as to 2 of the coaches that happened to take Slan.
Four coaches took Slan.
Yes,
One was Purple Goo.
yes. Number 2 in the world, right?
Yeah. And one was K-Phobed.
Number 1 in the world. Okay, so I think I don't know if the win percentage would have been as high with only 2 coaches playing Slan, but I'm willing to concede that maybe we got it a little wrong.
I did have a quick chat about it. I think he and Goo they hadn't spoken about it in advance, so you kind of wonder if the world's 2 best players spotted something the rest of us missed. Obviously they did, but separately. But I think they have different preferences in the way to build. I think
wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah,
one of them doesn't. I don't know. There we go. So that's that was also. I also found that one quite interesting.
Yeah.
We missed that. And then, of course, we've got the winners of the whole shebang.
Yeah, sure. Well, tell you what, just before we announce the winners, I'll just read out the top 5 teams. I won't delve into names and stuff, but I'll just read out the top 5 teams in case any of these people happen to listen to the podcast, so they can get a shout out. So I'll read. So in 5th place was "Hit Me Baby One More Time," a play on the famous song, but with the Tyne, as in I assume the River Tyne. Very witty. Is
that Piper's team?
Could well be. It doesn't say any names here, so it could. I think that is the one that Pipey was in, isn't it? Yeah. Then we have Tears Before Bedtime, with tears spelt as in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, etc. So that was another play on another pun, a very funny one. So
that's the aforementioned K-Phobes team.
Oh, fantastic! There we go. They're 4th. Number 3 was Twitch Stream Dream Team, that seemed to be in the same bar as you every night. That's the one with Purple
Demi G
Chest, Demi
and
G, Hancock, and Necronome. Originally pulled together by our good friend El Duderino, who unfortunately had to pull out because he had his hip replaced.
yeah,
He's on the mend. He's all ready to go. He'll be at NAF C for those of you going. Second place was the Italians, the Tillian Brigade, in second place. And in first place, going an astonishing 6-0-0, was UK BBL A. And we have their rosters, don't we?
yeah, and yeah, this is the back of what's it called? Joe Manji on another on the thing that Purple Chest does.
Yes, on the One World One Blood Bowl podcast. Yes,
confidently predicting that no UKTC, no UK team would would
yes,
win.
yes.
And these guys probably weren't the most fancied.
No, some of them actually. I think 3 of them hadn't really played more than 1 or 2 games of the new rule set because they all play on Blood Bowl 2, which is still using CRP. Doesn't even use the 2016 rules. They all play in UK BBL, and I think they'd all done like 1 or 2 tabletop tournaments each, and that was it. Apart from Gav, the captain, Gav Coleman, who is on Team Wales, so has been attending more tournaments. So I think they kind of shocked everyone.
Yeah.
So do you want to hit us with the rosters?
Yeah. So what I've got, so Gav finished the G Coleman 70 something finished as the top high elf player in the tournament. I think on a 4-2-0.
Very nice. Well done.
From what I understand, he's got a different take on high elves, which obviously worked for him. I think he's pumping. He's got a couple of throwers. He's got 3 catchers, a couple of blitzers, and linemen. And I think he's sort of running 12 players with that. But having the double thrower obviously limits him to just the 2 rerolls. But he's got enough for a couple of coaches and a cheerleader within that. And then the skills are interesting because he puts wrestle on all of his catches, so no dodge, all wrestle.
Yep.
The blitzers are dodge for the blodge. He has a leader on one of his throwers, so obviously, back up for the only having the 2 rerolls. He has Cannoneer on the other one, which is the old strong arm, I guess. So you're getting pluses on your long passes and your long bombs, which is interesting and probably suggests sort of the way that he attacks. And then kick.
Yep. Yeah.
Kick lineman. And I think without overstating it, the idea behind this is the kick allows you to put the ball deep and just put a load of pressure on. And the Cannoneer probably allows you to sit quite deep on offense.
Yeah. No, I've actually played against Gav's a high elf roster, different rule sets, so you could stack a couple of skills and stuff. But Gav plays a very it's not a game that you expect, and add to that he's a good coach, and all of a sudden it's not a gimmick, right? It's a different approach, and you have to think hard when you're playing against it. So it's great to see that it was performing at a nice high level.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is that high elves in general did quite well. I think at the tournament, I think they were the 3rd or 4th highest.
Yeah, it does not surprise me.
Win rating, and so not as high as Slan, obviously.
Yeah, well, we can't get everything right,
Yeah, but and there were lots of different types, from sort of fairly probably quite vanilla rosters like mine through to I think there were a couple of people pumping in Frenzy and on some blitzers, and there was obviously you were talking about a sneaky git build earlier, and obviously Gav using all of his experience to come up with something that is probably a little bit different to the norm, and I for one, I'm going to try and try it out at some point. I think.
Yeah, well, why not? Why not? You're going to have more tournaments where you can try your high elves out, so give it a go.
I'm filling in slightly because my phone that I was just looking at the rosters on has just decided to crash. So you might have just heard it reloading. So
Yes.
we're nearly back.
Okay, very good. Well, tell you what. While you wait for your phone to reload, in the next episode, what we'll be doing is because we had some delays, we were going to do a pre-NAFC one, a bit like we did with the UKTC one, but do a shorter pre-NAFC one. However, two things have occurred. First of all, because of the delay with me having COVID and stuff, we've both decided that we'll just keep it as a post NAFC episode, and we'll record it quite quickly after NAFC, and we'll be able to talk about NAFC and then do a nice big community roundup and see what's been going on at all these other tournaments all around the place, and that we've had in there going on. So that's gonna be really nice to get a really nice big kind of community one there. But the other thing is as well is that you're no longer attending NAFC. You've decided to go and be with the family for an event with one of your children, which is very, very sensible. And so it's only going to be me going to NAFC from the podcast. So that means that the episode will be half the length if it's only me talking. So we thought, well, why not do a Hellboy roundup of NAFC and then a really big community thing there. So there will be a little delay for the next podcast, but it will be coming soon after the NAF Championships, where hopefully I've managed to go and do very well.
You've won, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think that's right. I had a decision to make about NAFC, and in part, spending time with the family seemed appealing, and actually, in part, not having really loved the Blood Bowl element at UKTC, I thought, well, best to not do it.
No, exactly. No one's. When you told me your two reasons behind it, I think it's absolutely right. I'm a massive advocate of having fun with playing Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is actually fun.
I don't want to go and not enjoy it.
No, you don't want to be going on a weekend where you're meant to be going away to do something that's fun, to then sit there and not enjoy it for whatever reason. And then also spending time with the family is so important, and you will have a great time with that. So
interestingly, with this, I mean, it obviously seems like it's a fairly permanent move now for UKTC to the start of April. Assuming NAF stays in the same place, I don't see myself going to NAFC again, which is quite interesting. And I wonder if there's other people that will find that.
Yeah, I think
families that will find that fun a 4-week turnaround.
Yeah, so
really stomach.
Well, I think 20p had a similar thing where basically 20p was going to go to the NAF Championships, but then opted to come to UKTC on my team instead, and hand over his NAFC ticket to someone else. So I think those with younger children or larger families or just busy.
Yeah, it's just too close. But anyway, so we've done Gav Coleman's. We've got Jim Bodini took Shambling Undead.
Okay, very good. Anything surprising on it?
Yeah, interestingly, not a lick of guard.
Whoa.
Two block ghouls and a wrestle ghoul.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Mighty Blow White and a Tackle White.
Wow, no guard. Wow. I mean, Fear as a guard advocate there. Surely you can't even comprehend. On a team that can access 4 guard for free. Effectively, you don't need a double to get at the 4 guard. You must be baffled.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all.
Wow. Well, it must have worked. So
Yeah. Well, clearly did. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then not sure which of the players' rosters this is. So one of them took Chaos Dwarfs.
Okay.
Second. So fairly sort of straight up and down, 12 players, 3 re-rolls.
Did he go for the Mino or not?
Yeah, he's gone with the enslaved Minotaur
Okay,
claw.
yep. Okay.
So block and block on the bulls,
Okay.
and 2 guard, claw Mino, and sure hands on a hob.
Okay, interesting. Still very guard light. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but I think you can get away with it with the Minotaur as long as it behaves. And of
Yeah,
course,
claw as well, yeah.
it's the enslaved Minotaur rather than having the uncontrolled Fury thing. It has the
Yep.
animal, so you can guarantee movement from the Strength 5 piece,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
interesting. It's really interesting cast dwarf rosters there. The guy that finished highest ranked of cast dwarfs, Liam, was packing guard on 2 chorfs, guard on 2 bulls, and mighty blow on 2 chorfs, which is quite interesting.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, very
And what
different.
was the final UK BBL roster then?
Dark elves.
Okay, so we got 2 elf teams, we got an undead and a chorf. Okay, seems a pretty solid. Yeah, a solid approach, I think. Yep.
Yeah, so he's gone 4 blitzer,
Yep. Good.
one witch elf, I think,
Ooh, okay, interesting.
and then a runner. Line elves, I'm guessing up to 11, possibly 12. And then 2 rerolls, 4 coaches, interestingly.
Oh wow, 4 coaches. Okay.
He's got 3 dodge blitzers and a
Yep.
tackle blitzer
Okay, fair enough. Yep.
and a block witch.
Block witch. Okay, so don't go for the wrestle witch. Yeah. Okay, I guess I see the tackle then. If you haven't gone for the wrestle. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's an either or. That's an either or scenario.
yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, Fear. I mean, these guys beat the Italians who finished second. They beat them. So,
Oh yeah.
these rosters must have worked.
Well, I mean, this is the thing that I came away from the tournament with, really. Actually, this idea that there is a perfect way of doing things or a complete right and wrong way of doing things is, um, some of this is individual take on things. Just
Yep.
because
Yep.
you happen to think that a K-Fode or a purple goo is, and they are, exceptional players, but are the best players in the world, or whatever. And just because they do things in a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean that way is going to suit every other individual coach.
Yep.
They just build their teams in a certain way. It doesn't mean it's suitable for you or I,
Yep.
because
For sure.
they
Yep.
have a particular way of playing. And I think sometimes we do fall into that. We do fall into that trap a little bit in Blood Bowl of saying, well, okay, this is the optimum roster, and everyone's individual play style and temperament probably changes what is optimum for them. And I think looking at all of those rosters, they are a little bit different to what you would have expected, maybe in some ways, and they clearly suit these guys.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
the final 2 players that were on the team were Thyrus and Schaefer,
Okay.
on the BBL team. So, and that might be because they're coming from slightly out of left field, as you say, because 3 out of 4 of them.
Yeah. Very very limited experience on the new.
Me too.
the-
But actually, the fact that the stream dream team did so well as well. There's obviously something to not playing a lot of Blood Bowl 2020,
Yeah.
not playing a lot of tournaments, and in actual fact, just playing Chalice, I guess, is it?
Yeah, Chalice and having fun. Yeah, exactly. Just messing about, playing the Champions Ladder, and yeah, all that stuff.
Just playing a lot of Blood Bowl, maybe.
Yeah,
Giving them a different
yeah,
take on it, and,
yeah,
and that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like seeing different things than what I expected being at the top. And Raging 82, those 4 guys from UK BBL, Slan being the highest win percentage, that's amazing. That's a really healthy game when you can't predict kind of what's happening in advance. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. for sure. Well,
There we go.
congratulations, Raging82 again. Congratulations, UK BBLA. As we mentioned earlier, the tickets are on sale for UKTC next year. So if you are interested in getting a team together, go check out the website. It's bbuktc.com. And that's where you'll find all that information. I guess the other thing we should mention as well is we are both big fans of Fumble. There is a new NAF Fumble tournament, 1 game a week tournament that's just been announced. All the details can be found either on the Fumble Discord or on the Fumble site itself. The banner will appear, I'm sure, if it hasn't done so.
It's the banner's appeared.
There we go.
Starting on the 9th of May, but you obviously have to have your team in before that.
Yep.
And it's a NAF, it's a resurrection. It's NAF online, so your rankings count for your NAF online sort of ranking, and it's basically very similar rules to
UKTC, yeah.
But it looks like they've maybe taken into account some of the results. Some of the teams have been re-tiered, so High Elves are slightly up. Wood Elves are no longer in Tier 1. Their win percentage at UKTC being 36%, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, the meta's starting to evolve. It's
nice.
It's interesting.
Nice, and that's what we like to hear. Yeah, bit of evolution is good.
Yeah. But I suppose next time we do this, then we'll be post NAF.
So as I say, next episode will be post NAF C. You'll be able to hear all about how I get on.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So that's going to be that's going to be a good one. So I'm very glad we did this over 2 episodes, because otherwise this
would be 5 hours.
Yeah, it would be about 5 hours. But if you've managed to stick it with us through episodes 4 and 5, thank you very much. As always, if you have any comments, any feedback, do get in touch with either one of us on various places. I'm sure you'll be able to find us, or if you do see us at a tabletop tournament, do come up and say hello if you want to. That's always welcome. And yeah, we've been this has been the Blood Bowl Diaries episode 5 with me, Hellboy.
I'm Made of Fear.
There we go. And we'll see you all for the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.